I would like to call the Monday, July 27th, 2026 meeting to order. Clerk Toronto, I believe you'd like to make some comments regarding the link for this meeting and other expectations.
Good evening, members of the public. To maintain good audio quality for council members and yourselves, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default. If you would like to speak during a public portion of the meeting, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so will be listed. We ask that you provide your full name and residential address, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. Those wishing to speak virtually must activate their camera, displaying the speaker to be recognized by the chair. Additionally, if you are called on to speak, please provide your details in the following format. My name is full name, and I live at residential address. I would like to speak for or against agenda item. You will then be given 5 minutes to speak. Again, please be sure to put your information in the chat so we can call on you accordingly. Thank you.
Disrespectful, rude, and disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech and/or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. At this time, we're going to stand and have our invocation from my good friend, Pastor Mark Lance from Christian Center Church. If you will come and give your address and lead us in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for who you are, and thank you that you possess all wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And Father, we just pray your blessing over this meeting tonight. Holy Spirit, we pray that you would give council members wisdom. May the dialogue be civil. May it be one that is productive. Father, we just commit this city, we commit this region into your hand, and we believe, Lord, that you are the God of the universe, but you are the God of this region as well. And so therefore we come together with one heart, with one mind, Lord, with one desire, and that is to see the will of God done for this region, for this community. We just pray blessing over everyone that is in attendance tonight. Lord, that your hand rest upon them. And Lord, may you receive all the praise, all of the glory, and all of the honor for what is said and what is done in this room tonight. We give you thanks. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Clerk Toronto, would you please call the roll?
Present.
Committee Member McBride.
Present.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Gooden Rogers, Councilmember McBride. My apologies.
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger,
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember White,
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Present.
Vice President Niskoski,
Present.
President Lee,
Present.
all council members present.
All right. Now we'll have reports from the Subcommittee on Minutes for July 13, 2026.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the July 13th, 2026 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. We will not have reports from city offices today. And now I will entertain a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Good evening. The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where bills are given a second reading and public hearing before a committee made up of all 9 council members. All bills set for this second reading and public hearing have previously been given a first reading and a committee hearing prior to this evening's meeting. In addition, we will hear from chairpersons of the standing committee where the bill was discussed and the results of that discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from the staff member will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The formal presentation shall be untimed. Then members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council about the bill in the public hearing portion. As provided in Section 2, Chapter 2, Article 1, immediately following the formal presentation of the bill, council members will have the opportunity to ask preliminary questions of the staff and presenter. Clerk Torado, will you call the bill? Read the bill.
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 16-53 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding conditions constituting public nuisance.
Is there a committee report?
Yes, Chair. The Residential Neighborhood Committee had held a committee meeting as well as public hearing and took action on this particular bill, and we sent it to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Certainly. Good evening, council members. My name is Jenna Throw, City Attorney with offices on the 6th floor of this building. And with council's permission, would it be acceptable if I presented on the next 4 bills in one presentation? And of course, council would need to vote on them separately.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
Do I have to do a motion? Okay.
Mhm.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to hear bills 4026, 4126, 4226, and 4326 together to be voted on separately.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I also need to read the remaining of
Mhm.
those bills too.
Okay.
Bill 4126, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 20, Article 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code to update definitions, procedures, and enforcement provisions relating to abandoned vehicles. Bill 4226, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 20-84 of the South Bend Municipal Code concerning improper vehicle parking. Bill 4326, public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 20, Article 11 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding the parking of large vehicles.
Okay, presenter, you may now begin.
Thank you so much. So for an overview of the bills that we'll be covering for these 4 ordinance amendments, as a whole, they provide updates to some of the vehicle regulations within the municipal code, primarily to close gaps in enforcement and to address topics that the team could enforce out in the community if the regulations existed in the municipal code. And also some of the other areas where the amendments were proposed align the local ordinances to correspond with provisions of Indiana law to ensure consistency, as well as the city's zoning ordinance. And these proposed changes strengthen the city's ability to address nuisances, as well as abandoned and improperly parked vehicles. The changes would clarify nuisance ordinances, parking rules, as well as the regulation of large vehicles, and overall serve to support clean, safe, and orderly neighborhoods. The 4 bills that Clerk Torado just read, for Bill 40-26 amends Section 16-53 of the Municipal Code regarding public nuisances. 41-26 amends the article of the municipal code regarding abandoned vehicles. Bill 42-26 amends section 20-84 of the municipal code related to vehicle parking. And Bill 43-26 amends the article of the municipal code related to the parking of large vehicles. And so these ordinance amendments have some shared goals in closing gaps in vehicle-related nuisance enforcement and modernizing how the city regulates vehicles and vehicle-related nuisances on public and private property. So the first of these bills, 40-26, is the amendment to section 16-53. And one of the things that this ordinance does is clarifies the scope of the public nuisance rules and clarifies that the nuisance conditions listed in this ordinance section apply, the public nuisance designation applies whether the types of nuisance conditions exist either on the property or in unapproved containers or in unapproved vehicles, because it can be in a variety of situations, but we thought that it was helpful to clarify that debris in a container is a public nuisance, just the way it would be if it was physically on the property. We've also clarified that where the ordinance references real or personal property, that means structures and vehicles. And then some sections that were added address wrecked and nuisance vehicles. And these were to address some needs that were not covered by the definition of abandoned vehicle. As related to vehicle type nuisances, an issue with enforcement exists because when the team is out trying to conduct enforcement, one of the key requirements to consider a vehicle abandoned is that it's clearly inoperable. But there's a lot of situations where a vehicle can be a nuisance without being clearly inoperable to the naked eye. So some of these additional definitions, such as a wrecked vehicle or a vehicle that's parked in a way that it creates a nuisance, clean up some of that and those enforcement gaps to allow for other circumstances that do pose a public nuisance to provide for enforcement. So the next bill, 41-26, amends the abandoned vehicle ordinance, which is actually the abandoned vehicle article. These amendments do a few different things, primarily to just line up what the city's ordinance provides regarding the abandoned vehicle process with Indiana law. In a few different places, the ordinance provides some different language in kind of our own words, but it seemed like it was helpful. The state statute provides for a lot of this in statutory language, and it seemed for the sake of consistency to reference the state statutes to make sure that there was no difference in wording between the ordinance and the state statute. One other area that I mentioned in committee that we did specifically address was to address the realities of enforcing on urban streets. The state law definition of an abandoned vehicle would allow for a jurisdiction to consider a vehicle abandoned if it were left parked on a street for only 24 hours. But in an urban environment, that's not really realistic because a vehicle can be legitimately and safely parked on a street for 24 hours and have it not be abandoned and just parked. And so our existing provision about abandoned vehicles on the right of way included a 3-day rule. So we just left that alone and added, if it's on city property, that's not the right of way, incorporated the 24-hour rule. The next bill related to improper vehicle parking, Bill 4226. This is an amendment to Section 20-84 of the Municipal Code. This is primarily focused on where is an improper location for vehicles to be parked. It initially was focused on kind of tree lawn parking, which was originally referred to as parkways, but I know most people now kind of think of that area as the tree lawn, but also not every property has a defined tree lawn with a sidewalk. And so we wanted to make sure that we were describing the different types of areas where a car shouldn't be parked in enough within the proper level of specificity that would allow for enforcement. And also consolidated some rules that needed to be relocated from the large vehicle article related to parking on vacant lots. Then the final bill in this group, Bill 43-26, related to the parking of large vehicles. We made sure that this article kind of refocused on large vehicles and aligned it with the city's zoning ordinance. We redefined how large vehicles were defined in the article, consistent with the city's zoning ordinance. And what there are kind of two reasons for that. One is that the zoning ordinance already exists and already provides for a definition of large vehicles. And two, the existing language in this article provided for large vehicles by gross weight. And it was very difficult to be, from an enforcement level, to be able to look at a truck or a vehicle and tell whether it met the definition of large vehicle just by looking at it. And the zoning ordinance definition was more based on physical size, which is an objective thing that can be measured by staff rather than like a scale. We also updated some of the zoning district references so that the rules stay consistent. And as I mentioned, moved parking rules that didn't apply to large vehicles to Section 20-84. And so as a whole, these four ordinances, as you can see, they kind of overlap in interesting ways to update how the city regulates vehicles, to close some enforcement gaps that the team saw, and overall strengthen quality of life across neighborhoods. Make sure that improperly parked vehicles and vehicles that create nuisances are addressed consistently, and provide clearer definitions that are aligned with Indiana law and the zoning ordinance. Questions?
One.
Councilwoman Nagowski.
Thank you, Chair. In 40-26, I just had a question in section 1. It's number 23. Is it at the very end?
Yes.
And you got that highlighted in blue as a change. Number 4, when it says primarily for storage, number of vehicles, it says storage, comma, number of vehicles, period of time. So as you know, I've had some issues in a couple neighborhoods with one lady saying, hey, he's got 8 cars, he's storing stuff in one of them, he's got a broken down vehicle parked in the drive. So what do you mean by number of vehicles, just for clarity?
And so that's meant to kind of give like a totality of the circumstances look at the sorts of things that can make the circumstances a nuisance. It may not be that one of those factors alone may not make the situation rise to the level of a nuisance, but if you have a combination of those factors, then that may, because ultimately it poses a public nuisance based on a combination of those factors. The key is that it poses a nuisance. And so if based on those factors, if it poses a nuisance, but those would be the factors that would be looked at.
So it'd have to be more than one of those things. It's not referring to if an individual owns 8 vehicles and 3 are storing trash,
So
kind of, I guess.
So I think that would speak to parked primarily for storage and the number of vehicles. And so I think that would be 2 of those factors taken together.
But just for the record, there is no limit that someone can own vehicles, because I get this question all the time in the city of South Bend.
That's correct. And so that's why we wanted to make this so it wasn't like you're capped with this many vehicles. It's a totality of circumstances. Is the way that the vehicles are stored based on other factors causing a nuisance?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for these revisions. I think they're very helpful for the, there are just numerous examples across the city of properties that have vehicles stored. And so mine is similar, and I'm guessing you're going to answer similarly, but just in defining period of time, we're not necessarily defining it. We're just saying a combination of any one of those factors.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was saying to Councilwoman Niezgodski, is that we wanted to not say like, this is the period of time, but like, these are the sorts of things that we would look at. And if there's a long period of time, there's a lot of vehicles, or a long period of time and it's primarily for storage, the sorts of things that we would look at to see if it's creating a nuisance.
Okay. In the cover letter, it also stated that the intent is to be liberally construed. So that is at the discretion of our NSC to determine that any combination of these factors would pose a nuisance. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman White,
Mhm.
and then President Lee.
Thank you. I think Councilwoman McBride was before.
McBride, okay, I'm
Okay.
supposed to be down there, okay.
Okay,
Stick
what
your
about,
hands up so I can
okay,
speak.
thank you.
Okay.
What about when you see various houses and they're using their front lawn to repair vehicles? And they're in the alleyway and all over their house. That's what they're doing. They're running a business, and again, the homeowners are not pleased with that site. And we see a lot of that.
So there would potentially be zoning implications if
Mhm.
they're running a business.
Mhm.
But I know some of the updates that we've generated with this group of 4 bills could potentially have implications for that, because there's especially in 20-84 in those revisions, there that speaks a lot to where the vehicles are parked.
Mhm.
And as far as like blocking alleyways and like on like grassy areas of
Mhm.
like on tree lawns, or the portion of the right of way that would be a tree lawn if there were a sidewalk, things like that.
That's happening.
And certainly if there's things that like these ordinance updates haven't quite gotten to yet, that like
Mhm.
we're always open to like
Okay.
whatever we can address in round 2.
Thank you.
Councilwoman McBride.
Thank you, Chair. Along to that point of Councilwoman White, there are calls, in the 3rd district, I know about homes using their homes for businesses for auto repairs. And it's not just in the alleyways, it's cars all day, all night in their driveways, and they're using their garage and have compressors going and things of that nature. So wanted to make sure that we are addressing those issues. And there were some emails that was sent to me and administration. So wanted to point to what department does that go to handle looking at those issues, because there are several complaints that someone had been communicating for a long period of time. And for me to point them into the right direction and get some resolve for them would be great.
The initial thing that comes to mind, and I know there are, depending on what the zoning district is, I know there's some without having it all in front of me right now, I know there's some zoning parameters related to have like, um, home occupations. Um, certainly something that had noise implications or traffic implications that, could also be relevant.
Thank you. And my second question is not just parking in the tree lawns, but there are several cars also throughout the city that regularly park in front yard lawns. And that is very disruptive to the neighborhood as well. So wanted to make sure that we're not just talking about tree lawns and alleyways, but front yard parking if it's not on a slab or anything like that. So making sure that those are addressed. I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Lee.
Yes, thank you for your presentation and thank you for the revisions going forward. Because we get a lot of calls about these type of things, people parking on the front of their yards. What do we do for the people who don't have driveways and don't want their cars to be hit? So that's been the reason why they've been parking on the front of their yards. It has to be a gravel or a hardened hardened um, platform or something. What
Mhm.
could you answer that for me?
I know that there needs to be like an improved surface, like some sort of improved surface. And I know there's always an encouragement to use alleys and things of that nature, but I'm sure not every property has alleys that is concerned about parking. Um, and I think the biggest concern is where cars are fully parked, like 4 tires on the tree lawn or the portion of the parcel that would be a tree lawn. Um, less so if the car is just kind of like nudged over a little bit to not get a window swiped. Um, kind of the spectrum of what is the worst violator of that. But that is certainly a concern, but there are like certain requirements for um, what would be a technically correct surface to park on as far as improvements and things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Simpson.
Thank, thank you. And thank you for addressing this issue. And I hope that the public is listening and know that, this is a part of our ordinance. My question is, in your presentation to the committee this afternoon, you talked about aligning some of these changes to the city of South Bend zoning. And I was thinking, I live in a suburban one.
Mhm.
And I would think that a big old food truck or a big old boat, even in the driveway, wouldn't be permissible in a suburban one neighborhood. Could you
Well,
give me some feedback on that?
Sure. And so some of the particular areas where I'd mentioned aligning it with zoning is mainly in definitions,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with, um, I know with large vehicles. I mentioned how the zoning ordinance, there is already a definition of large vehicles. And so rather than try to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, since we're talking about vehicles,
Mhm.
we adopted the definition of large vehicle from the zoning ordinance. Um, it was more in kind of specific instances of, or like the zoning classifications have
Okay.
changed since the
Okay.
last time the ordinance had been updated, where um, like you mentioned, you're in like a suburban one, they used to be an R1. And so updating the names of those districts, things like that, just not necessarily, I think not
I-
necessarily what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I
like
think I
definition.
maybe misunderstood. I know you can't like have a business in a
Yeah.
suburban one, but what about a big old, uh, a big food truck or big boats and they're in the driveways? I do get complaints about
Mhm.
that. It just doesn't look right. That doesn't seem like it is.
And so
Okay.
that may fall under the large vehicle.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. One more question. You talk about tree lawns. Would that also include, we have a lot of cul-de-sacs on the south side that have grassy, um, the little grassy mound and everything. And I get a lot of complaints about um, cars parked there, maybe sometimes not a part, most of the neighbors would be okay if this was just some kind of family get together. This going to be a one time thing, but people trying to park regularly there. So that tree lawn, would that fall in the tree lawn category?
So the provisions of 2084, I think there's a few that could apply to that. There's in subsection 4, there's a line in the portion of the right of way adjacent to the street, whether improved or unimproved. So it sounds like that area is kind of it's part of the right of way, but it's made into kind of this grassy area.
It's grassy, yeah.
Or still in the right of way to manner blocking an approved driveway or parking lot approach. If it's blocking anything, that would fall under that as well.
That's not blocking anything. It's just this grassy. I know maybe it would be the part that it's not, it can contaminate the groundwater. Okay. I was just making sure that was covered. Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Davis.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. 2 weeks ago, we talked about short-term rentals and how that is we really want to crack down on that across the city. And now we are looking at cracking down on the cars, which I think both of them are important. Can we really handle that with our current staff? Because we still have a lot of areas. I was just driving around in the 6th district where I am, and there's still a lot of things that are needing to be done and need to be reported with our current load of issues. And so I know this is not budget season, we're almost there, and the budget request went out, but I'm hoping with these 2 issues that we will have more staff, because I get concerned when we add these kind of issues and then we add the short-term rentals, and then we have heard, oh yeah, we can handle that, we can handle that, we can handle that, we can handle that. That's nice and good. At the same time, I'm hoping that we can look at adding more staff to doing that because I just don't believe we can handle all of that with all the changes that we need to handle with our growing city.
Hi, Liz Meredith, Chief Neighborhoods Officer with the Department of Community Investment with offices on the 5th floor. To your question in particular with short-term rentals and the vehicles, enforcement is different divisions or different teams within the Department of Community Investment. And so I believe at this point, we do believe we have the capacity to be able to do the enforcement related to them.
What gives you that? What gives you, I mean, what kind of numbers, what kind of, just by saying, okay, I'm a person with numbers. If you're adding more to my work and with the same amount, what gives you the peace? Have you done any kind of studies, any kind of other issues, cities who have done this, that this is the kind of people power to be able to do this? Because we're adding more work.
So at least from the vehicle side of things, which is what my team would be handling, these are things that we already are looking at and enforcing on a daily basis. It's just we're trying to tweak it and make improvements to it so it gives us more enforcement ability and also clarifying the requirements for both my team from an implementation standpoint as well as to the public. So from our perspective, from the NSE side of things, I think we believe that it's going to be just strengthening our ability and not necessarily adding additional.
Well, my final part of that with a follow-up is, when will you know if you need more? I mean, what will be an indicator that will let you know, we've added all of this, we've added all these other things. What is your indicator that you will come before us and say, hey, we need some more, and do that? I'm more into preventive and then reaction. And so what could we do ahead of time? And what is your a signal that goes off that said, hey, we need to reach out to the council to get some more? When do you do that?
I think it comes as part of the budget process as we're reviewing what our needs and our capacity are.
Okay. So during the budget process, I really
would
want to do
like
that.
to give every council member a chance to get one question in at least.
I was just doing a follow-up, but this that we're doing from that standpoint. I'm at peace.
Dr. Davis.
And thank you for not interrupting me, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
Dr.
Chair. Given how extensive, every council person has spoken about how they receive calls about this, I think it would be really helpful if we get an update 6 months after this is implemented, or 12 months after it's implemented, so that we can demonstrate, do some measuring and see what was the impact. Do residents feel like there has been a positive improvement? So again, I think because it's such a significant issue across the districts, I think this is one of those times that perhaps we could invite you all to come back 6 months from now and then report on what has been the impact. What's the visual impact that our residents will see? Thank you.
I have one question for myself. I would like to know about the weekenders, because we don't have anyone working on the weekend. And I have constituents, they call and they want to know about the weekenders. I mean, coming home, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we talked about this at committee. We are aware from the administration side that there are questions about weekends and evening enforcement. And so as we're reviewing our processes and trying to improve things, this will help with our process and our day-to-day, but we are still looking at what our options might be to help improve enforcement.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to go to the public portion. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
If there are members of the public that are wishing to speak in favor of this bill, please come up to the podium, please, and state your name and address.
Thank you. David Dieter, 1740 Portage Avenue. 12 years up at that council. 2 terms in the first district, 1 at large. I'm in favor of the bill, but I think some of the questions y'all were asking, is there enough enforcement to do that? And my position of being a city dude, living on Portage, seeing there are, as Kenneth would attest to, dozens just in the first district alone of code enforcement. Mr. Fresh, perfect example as we speak, there's 10 cars in that lot. So hopefully if they're going to do more vigorous enforcement of this, which would probably mean to have more people or another line of way they do their work. I hate to go back to the way it used to be, but when I was on the city council in Carrington, we used to get monthly reports from code enforcement, number of complaints, number of vehicles towed, places where nobody's adhering to listening to the letters and people coming out. So that's up to y'all to decide how they want to work. But again, the premise of doing this is good as long as you have the enforcement process. And even, unfortunately, the police department doesn't have a traffic bureau. They don't have the time to go do things on the street. And again, I'm around town all the time and I haven't even done the alleys that much other than riding my bike through there. There are literally hundreds of code violations between vehicles parked in yards, vehicles abandoned, people doing work on there, parked backwards, parked sideways, all over South Bend. So I do agree with the premise of let's do something more. But again, you guys do the budget. You asked a very good question. We need more people. Derek's position, they need a lot more people, but they need to change their attitude of being very vigilant of enforcing what's out there. Thank you.
I agree.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Are there any more members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Alice Pickens, 234 North Albert, South Bend, Indiana. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilman Karen White for bringing this audience to, because it is terrible. You can go down on the west side, on side streets. You have big boats parked in the yards, overflowing trash. It's just ridiculous. People working on their cars all night long. Lots, oil running all on the sidewalks, all in your grass. Trash just everywhere. Vehicles need to be removed. Some of them be on flats, some of them with broken windows. Some of them have RVs in their lots with dogs living in them and people. It needs to be brought. It is very sad in our neighborhoods, and we like to keep our neighborhoods up. But if you like, and they do need to put a limit on how many cars you shall have in your driveway. Because it's a shame when you have 15 cars in one driveway on the street and you have a house, where's the rest of everybody else gonna park at? That's the question, where everybody else gonna park at? You got 15 cars in this this house next door, probably 10 over here, and you might have one, and you come home, you don't have a place to park. That's it.
Do you know if she spoke in favor or against?
She spoke in. Ms. Alice, did you speak in favor of the bill? I believe you spoke in favor. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so at this time, do you have anyone wishing
Are there
to
any
speak
members of the
against?
public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Tiana Batiste Waddell, 330 Colfax Avenue. I didn't even know about this bill till I was just sitting over there. But listening to the presentation and listening to the community's comments, how can you hold people accountable when you won't even hold yourself accountable to the racial bias that comes up in the Repertory Justice Commission's report? Maybe if we weren't racially discriminating against people, we wouldn't have communities. So yes, I do agree with short-term solutions. But if we want to see systemic change, we got to start impacting our system, starting with you all, the leaders. Thank you.
Again, did she speak against the bill? Yes. Yes. Okay.
Are you speaking in favor?
Again.
Are you speaking against? Okay, please come up to the podium and state your name and address.
I didn't know about this bill either, so
Okay.
I'm not here for this, but my name is A. Raquel Bloss. I live 2413 Erskine Boulevard. I recognize a lot of people here.
Come closer to the mic, please. I'm
Sure.
hearing impaired.
I just wrote a few notes and I just would like the council to please be cognizant that these orders can be used to discriminate against the poor and the working poor. You know, I work with the homeless, and whenever anyone gets a car towed, it's extremely expensive to get it out, and many people lose their jobs. Many people have to ask neighbors and family to fix their cars because they can't afford. So I would just be cognizant that this can be used to discriminate against the poor and the working poor. Thank you.
At this time, I will close the public portion on Bill 4026 and we'll turn back to the council. Anyone wish to speak again?
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Dr. Davis?
What's in the provisions to deal with situations that we just heard in terms of people who are in their cars? Because we do have the new state ordinance that people cannot be in camps anymore. If they will get arrested if they are in a camp. So you will find more people. I'm a social worker. You're probably going to find more people living in their cars now since they can't live in the camps around the city. So what is our provision to deal with that issue?
So currently, you're not allowed to live in your vehicle, so these bills do not change that. But we do have a team within the Department of Community Investment that does work to try to connect individuals who are homeless or precariously housed with resources. So we do have efforts of partner with outreach teams to go meet with them and try to connect them to resources to get them into a more stable situation.
So if they are picked up, the issue of what we just mentioned, is there any way that they get a waiver or something with their car, because that may be their only house? So is there something that when you work with people, do you work with them to put them with resources and at the same time helping them to maintain their car and not have a $500 bill?
Yeah, so depending on the circumstances, we try to work with them and connect them to resources before we start any enforcement.
Okay. I appreciate your sign and thank you for noting that.
At this time, I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 4026.
Motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation with all of the different things that we have shared.
Second.
Dr. Ryder, will you please call the roll?
Just to note that we need to vote on all the bills and make motions for them separately.
That's fine.
On 4026.
So I'll put my motion for the very first one.
Yep. I just wanted to just make
I
sure.
understand.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Okay. Okay, Clerk Toronto, would you give Bill 4126 a reading?
So I read 4126,
Mhm.
so we need to make a motion to pass the bill because she heard all of them at once.
So we're gonna pass them all at one time?
Okay.
No, we
What,
just,
we
we
did
need
40,
separate,
26, didn't we?
Correct.
we
Okay,
did. So you
so now
ask
we're
for a
gonna do
motion
41.
in a second, and then I'll do the roll call, and then I'll push it back to you for 42 and 4326.
Okay, so now we gotta do a roll call.
We're doing roll call for 4126, but I
26.
need a motion.
Need a motion?
I move to send Bill 4126 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
And I second that.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
We gonna do Bill 4226 now, right? So I
Yep,
need a
correct.
motion.
Chair, I move that we send Bill 42-26 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Will you call the roll?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Bill 4326 passed.
42.
4226. I need a motion on Bill 4326.
Chair, I make a motion that we send 43-26 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I got it. Will you call
Councilmember
the
Bolden
roll?
Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
4326 now passed. Clerk Toronto, will you give Bill 4526 a reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 203 Johnson Street, 207 Johnson Street, 213 Johnson Street, 215 Johnson Street, 2013 Orange Street, and 2014 Parallel Street, Council Managing District Number 2 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Petitioner, will you state your name, please?
Can we get a committee report, please?
Oh, it was committee report, I'm sorry.
Okay. The Community Investment Committee heard Bill 46-26 on extension of current license. And we had a public hearing on this as well, and we sent it to the Committee of the Whole with a recommendation. Favorable.
Excuse me, point of order. And Ms. White, that was 45-26.
Okay, 45.
Yes. ma'am.
4526 was the zoning annexation.
I'm not,
That's me.
excuse me.
And so, no problem, it happens. And so therefore, we will have the zoning annexation committee. We did meet this afternoon, and we were glad to bring Bill 4526 to the full council with a favorable recommendation, my old church.
Good evening, council members. Tim Staub, zoning specialist for the city of South Bend with offices on the 5th floor. Before you is Bill 45-26, a rezone of 6 parcels on a block buffered by Orange, Johnson, Parallel, and Grant to rezone them from Urban Neighborhood 1 U1 to Urban Neighborhood 2 U2 to support the creation of duplexes and cottage courts on the property. Historically, these properties have been occupied by single unit dwellings in a neighborhood with several duplexes as indicated by the Sanborn map from 1917. The Berrien Seventh-day Advent Church was constructed in 1931 to fill out the block, while the neighborhood was filling up with homes to support nearby industrial development. This pattern continued well into the 60s, only to see the once populated neighborhood experience decline in homes and population. As you can see from the images from 1987 to 1993, our block loses its last home as the church's parking lot takes over the remainder of the blocks. And by 2010, you can see a large number of vacant lots have developed in the neighborhood. The current site is 6 vacant parcels that make up the whole block. The block, as mentioned, is entirely vacant, with the church recently being demolished over the past few years for future housing development. The applicant intends to build a multitude of different housing types on this lot, from single unit dwellings to duplexes and a cottage court. So here's the overall design of what they intend to do. So this rezoning is consistent with the Kennedy Park neighborhood plan. The neighborhood plan identifies this area for its high vacancy and its historically redline status as a place for possible medium density housing. There we go. From possible medium density housing to benefit from the Dream Center and the future extension of the Coal Line Trail. The plan recommends these parcels be zoned urban neighborhood 2 to support the intention with the tension of a mix of housing types, and as mentioned, including cottage courts, duplexes, apartment houses, and townhomes. This rezoning should help create infill development in an area that has seen long-term disinvestment and can help the city by providing more neighbors to use for its parks and community centers. And as mentioned, the committee has sent this to you with a favorable recommendation.
That is correct.
Council members, do we have any questions for the staff?
There's a presentation.
Do we have a presenter?
Yes, the presenter is here. So.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Turner. I live at 56085 Chapel Lane in South Bend, Indiana. And I propose to change the zoning here to U2. It had a special change that was required for me to do the application for. And so what I would like to do is bring affordable housing into that neighborhood and into that area. And I would like to do single family houses with duplexes and also 1-unit apartments as a duplex on top of each other, so I could have more density into that area and hopefully to expand into other vacant lots that's around that vacant lot so that we can bring the neighborhood back. Thank you. Any questions?
Council members, do we have any questions? Councilman Lee?
Yes.
President Lee?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Turner, for this ideal. How soon would it be for you to get started building?
Actually, I am working with the surveyor now, and they were supposed to be doing the survey last week, but I only got one stake in the middle of the lot right now. So I'm at the discretion of my subcontractors to get the work. I've called on them and I'm working on them. So I'm waiting on my survey to get the boundary done. And then we get the excavation done and get the permits pulled, and we should get started as soon as I can get people to help.
Okay. Thank you for your investment and your vision for that area. Thank you so much.
Dr. Davis?
Ms. Turner, thank you so much for all you do. What gave you the vision to fix up that area? Because, you know, after the church left and then the other church had it and then it went down, they had a fire. And so, I mean, when I went by there, it was something else. So what gave you?
You just opened a can of worms.
I hear you. Well, you know, we can spray them out. But what gave you that vision?
This is a passion of mine. I grew up sharecropping.
Yeah.
And outhouses and all of that kind of stuff. And went and visit friends and family in St. Louis, and they had ranch houses with running water. And I was a little girl then, and I said, one day I'm gonna live like they lived. And when I was 26 years old, I built my own house, designed it, had Willis Construction built it. and went in my living room and say, I got to do this for somebody else. And so that church found out that it had burned and that they had found another place and may be willing to sell it. So I got in touch with the pastor and made him an offer. They accepted, and God had already provided the money.
Hey,
Just that's how he works.
it is how he works. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Need you all's prayer for me to finish it.
I hear you. I was excited when I heard about it. I'm so thankful.
And I'm stepping out on faith because I know he can. And when he do it for me, I'm gonna show somebody else how to do it.
Well, have church up in here. Go for it. Amen.
Councilwoman McBride.
Thank you. I know it's not a question, but I do have a comment. I apologize if I'm out of order, but I have been to your home that you built several years ago, and I've seen your work. So I was excited to know that you were the developer at this lot, because I know it will be in great hands and you do high quality work. So I am excited about the project, and especially being in a space where I know Pastor James E. Minor used to preach over there on Johnson Street, been there since I was a little. So very excited to see development on the north side, and excited that you are a part of that. Thank you.
And I'm excited to do it because I wouldn't give somebody something that I wouldn't live in.
All
Thank
right.
you all.
At this time, I will now open the public hearing for anyone wishing to speak in favor.
Members of the public in person or online, if you would like to speak in favor, please come up to the podium or put your name and address in the chat. I do not see anyone wishing to speak at this time in favor.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
So at this time, I will now close the public hearing and back to the council. Any more questions, council members?
Chair, could I just add one more comment? I want to add my gratitude as well. Ms. Turner, I met you for the first time online, actually. I don't know if you remember, but it made an impact on me. You were in the Spark program at St. Mary's College, and you were going through the final ceremony or project presentation. And I don't know if you remember that. And so anyway, that made a big impact on me, and it's just been wonderful to be a part of your journey every time I talk to you and you share your passion and plans moving forward. And so I'm very happy to support the work that you do.
At this time, I wish to close the public hearing on Bill 4526, and I will now entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, a favorable motion, that we send Bill 4526 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Clerk Torado, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye, happily aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Hallelujah, aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
Bill 4526 passed.
All right now.
Clerk Torado, will you please give Bill 4626 a reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 4-61 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding taxi cab licensing and operations and providing for the extension of current licenses.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Councilmember White, can I get a committee report?
Committee report, I'm sorry.
Yes, you
Always
can, no
forget.
problem. Community Investment hurt Bill 46-26. We had committee meeting along with public hearing, and we send this bill to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
You may begin.
Thank you, Chair. I am Rachel Tomas Morgan with offices on the 3rd floor.
I'm Jenna Throw, City Attorney with offices on the 6th floor.
Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to present this bill to you this evening. As I shared in committee, it's for some time now, I've been engaged in dialogue with owners of taxi cab companies in our community and the challenges they face due to a number of varying factors. I came to learn that from 2011 to 2013, there were 200 taxi cabs in our city. Today, there are 15 between two companies. One company used to operate 25 cabs and over the years have been reduced to 1/3 of that number. Certainly, one of the contributing factors is the introduction of ride-sharing services, or TNCs, transportation network companies like Uber and Lyft. According to media sources, Uber made its debut in South Bend in 2014 and Lyft in 2017. Traditional taxi cab companies have certainly felt the impact of the rise of these digital platform alternative transportation services. But another contributing factor and impact on business is the heavy regulations imposed on taxi cab companies. Our taxi ordinance is heavy in detail. A very in-depth ordinance first enacted in 1981 with parts amended in 1986, 1993, 1999, and the most recent in 2011, over 15 years ago, before the debut of ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft in 2014. We believe that current conditions, changing technology, and the prevalence of ride-sharing services support a more comprehensive review and revision of our taxi ordinance to meet the realities of today. Most importantly, we'd like to make sure that there's a level playing field. While we take more time for a more complete review and revision, there are now a few limited amendments that can be made to improve administration of the taxi cab licensing program and to support continued taxi cab service within the city. These initial amendments being proposed today and the more comprehensive review moving forward have been a collaborative effort and will continue to be. And to that extent, I want to acknowledge and thank Attorney Bob Palmer, Assistant City Attorney Jenna Throw for their assistance and contributions, and to Michelle Adams, License and Registration Administration on our city planning team for her business unit expertise. And now I'd like to turn it over to Assistant City Attorney Jenna Throw to present the initial amendments, and afterwards we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So the initial amendments that we wanted to bring forward in the bill presented today, the first of those is amending the definition of taxi cab to incorporate the definition provided by state law. In starting to work on this project, I noted that the definition of taxi cab in state law that provides for local regulation of taxi cabs specifically excludes the TNC companies like Uber and Lyft that Councilwoman Tomas Morgan mentioned. And so I think as we move forward in discussing these regulations, it's important to adopt the state law definition to make abundantly clear that when we're operating and working on these regulations, that we're working within the framework that state law allows us to govern in. The next area of amendment is regarding the process of dispatch. The existing ordinance requires taxi companies to dispatch from a physical location. And so the change is just allowing the option of either dispatching from a physical location or dispatching from a mobile location. And then also giving taxi companies the option to close between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. instead of requiring 24/7 operation. When you look at the track changes version of the ordinance, it looks like there's a very substantial section that's being deleted and added. That represents just the movement of a section of text. That's not actually a very large section that's been deleted and added. That's just moved text for council's reference. Then the next area of amendment is in relation to the minimum number of cabs or drivers that a company is required to have. And from the feedback the Councilwoman Tomas Morgan heard from the industry, we're proposing to change that from 6 to 4, both for the number of cabs, the number of drivers. And then the final proposed change is to extend the current cycle of licenses for another year. I think as part of the comprehensive amendments, we would be looking at potentially moving to a 2-year cycle, but rather than change a specific section and subsection of code that might go away as we work on more comprehensive edits, it seemed more streamlined to just say, there's a group of licenses that expires in September. Let's say that they expire in September of 2027. And that's the universe of amendments that we're looking for at this time, but we continuing to engage in conversations regarding more comprehensive updates.
Do we have a petitioner?
Oh, we are.
You are, okay, because I see him back
So-
there, okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, council members?
Oh, I did have one more thing. In the committee, I believe Councilwoman Gooden Rogers asked for her phone number.
Oh, yes.
I
did send those.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes. You had asked for the taxi cab companies in committee, so I went ahead and forwarded those to you. But I'm happy to forward them to the entire council if you would all like that information.
At this time, do any council members have any questions?
How does, yes. How,
Voting
Go ahead.
system?
She's fine.
Okay. I just want to thank you for doing this because making this a level playing field is good for the business people and it's good for the consumer because the diversity of choices makes everyone rise a little higher. So thank you for doing this.
Can I just mention something there? I know, like, my mother-in-law is a great example, and some of members in our senior community who may not be as fluent on mobile phones look to taxi cab companies for their transportation services.
How does this compare to our other cities in our state regarding how they have adjusted to the taxis? Have you looked at other cities in the state of Indiana to see what they're doing? Because I remember working on this back in 2011 and when we were working on that. And I do agree that, of course, we never saw that we would be able to just use Lyft and everything else. So what are other cities throughout Indiana? Because we're not the only ones. When you did your research to look at that, what did you see in Indianapolis, Bloomington, and other cities across Indiana? How are they addressing this issue?
We haven't looked yet, or I haven't looked yet at kind of the whole universe of what other cities are doing to address taxis as a whole. But would certainly be part of the comprehensive review of the ordinance and seeing what some of the larger communities in the state are doing. For this bill, we just wanted to make some targeted changes on some of the immediate needs. But that would certainly be part of the overall, the digging into the overarching.
Yeah, that would be really helpful to see, because I always like to look at when we make something, what are other cities doing? How is it impacting them? Because we're not the only ones. I mean, I go to Indianapolis to use this one. So you do see the taxis really fighting down there too. And so, and of course they have all the Indy 500 and they have all the other sports things. So I'm sure that they have to battle with this and they've had to come up with some new playing field to make it even for everybody.
I have looked at some preliminary look at some of the communities that surround us, just for comparison. And so I think what we are bringing forth makes sense in that context. And as Attorney Throw mentioned, we look forward to digging more deeply into other cities across the state. We know there are many examples across the nation for sure, but what's happening in Indiana, a closer dive there.
Great. And when you do that, can you just follow up? And I'd like to get a copy of that because that would be able to help you, because it was really nice to see what you are doing. Because I remember in 2011 going to the airport and those taxi members, they stopped me and said, hey, we need some help. So we did that and that was good, but it's not good for them now.
President Lee?
Yes, thank Thank you for your presentation. In your research, one of the questions that I've always wondered is um, with um, the implementation of Lyft and Uber, uh, what did you guys hear from the taxi cab services of why they haven't gone to a app service with all of these regulations that they have to have? You know, why haven't they not adjusted to the digital age? Was that even discussed or any information on that?
Um, we do have some taxi companies here and can speak to that, but in my conversation with them, and one of it is that we require them to have a physical dispatch, someone to answer the phones 24/7.
Yeah.
Landline phones. And so these are some of the changes that we need to, that we are enacting with the physical business location and from shall to may, and then looking forward to others.
So would this change with them not having to actually, when it says they can dispatch from a mobile location, what does that mean?
It would mean that the taxi company representative wouldn't have to maintain a physical office to do all their dispatching from, which is currently the requirement in the ordinance. Certainly, if that made business sense for them, they still can, and that's why we changed it to May. But they would also have the option if they weren't in a physical office to handle the dispatch of their cab drivers from a mobile location.
Thank you.
Seeing no more, I would like to open it up to the public portion. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of?
Yes, we have one person coming to the podium wishing to speak in favor. Please state your name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, my name is Andrew, 5022 Kirkshire Drive in South Bend. Thank you so much for the opportunity to the council. And to answer your questions, Councilman Davis and Councilman Lee, we have gone into the advent of the digital age. So we build websites. We do a lot of online communications and mobile communications. So actually a lot of our inbounding of customers happens through, people find us online now. You know, they're welcome to Google us to, as soon as you search, you'll see the list of cab companies, we're one of them. And they can call from there, or they can also do email communications. So we do reach a lot of people through email. So, if anybody needs a cab, feel free to either call, or they can even text us or email. We just opened it up to every option that, users can be able to reach us. But yes, what we're doing here is really going to affect us for the long term. We are dealing with, the disruption of Uber and Lyft, which is really, cut into our business some. I understand competition happens, but we're doing our best to be able to sustain the business and the industry because we're well known in town and there's a lot of people who depend on us. As Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan was saying, there's some people who just don't go online at all. And, they still depend on the old kind of almost like a rotary phone to call and get rides, help them there. Our service is also very personalized. Uber drivers may just pick and drop, but we also consider people that are, of disabilities or people that have medical issues. We do door-to-door pickup, so we ensure that somebody gets picked up from their door and help with their luggage or groceries, from where they're going, whether groceries or hospital, and right up to their home. So, we leave groceries or luggage, right at the doorstep. So we do our best to be able to work with people and help them. The costs that are incurred in the business is what took place after, COVID, insurance rates really went up and the maintenance and parts and services of vehicles really shot up. So that's why we're doing this, to be able to at least start a conversation with the city, to be able to, adjust things here and there where we can be able to subside some of the, I guess, the regulation and the burdensome of, doing business, so we can be able to adopt better. And thank you so much to Michelle Adams, who suggested that we reach out to the city council. She's been wonderful, community investment. And Rachel Thomas Morgan, the council lady. Thank you.
Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 4626?
At this time, I do not.
I am speaking in favor. I forgot that.
Derek Teeter, 1740 Portage is not necessarily against, but I don't think it was mentioned if there's an enforcement aspect of this, unless I missed it.
These changes are just part of the existing taxi cab business licensing program. And so they would just be incorporated into the existing process for the taxi cab business license.
Thank you.
That being said, who's going to monitor that?
Will you come to the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was talking
Who's
to
going to
Jen.
enforce that and monitor it?
I was talking to Jenna.
That is, as Councilwoman Tomas Morgan mentioned, that's handled by Michelle Adams, who's the business license administrator.
Thanks.
And one more thing, how many Ubers do we have, Lyfts, and how many taxis?
Please come to the mic.
Sorry, man, you could have delayed it and I could have talked for you.
Yes, I did want to respond to his question about our regulations. Currently, we're at annual. Every year, we have to qualify by, clearing background checks, health certifications, and also we're required to have a chauffeur's or CDL license. Actually, Ubers and Lyfts, the ride shares, I don't even think they necessarily need a chauffeur's license. So we're much better qualified and much better scrutinized with what we do at our work. And we're asking for that period to be extended to every 2 years because when you take a physical exam and a background check, they're typically good for 2 years per the state. So there's no need for us to keep renewing every year. So we're very well regulated and we have to, Michelle knows all of us. You may not even know your Uber or Lyft drivers, but here we're known. Definitely, they can point out, hey. And there's also contact information on every cab or a 311 number that somebody can dial if they're having issues.
But that's my question, how are they going to monitor Uber and Lyft that they're doing the same thing y'all do?
Yeah, that's exactly why we're here, because those guys are not monitored, but we're heavily monitored.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Right? It's good if we're gonna do it, but,
Right.
I'm sorry, it's good if we're gonna do it, but I don't know how the mechanism, if you're gonna regulate all the Lyft and Uber people, so. I guess I'm against it until you could answer that question.
Thank you for your comments. At this time, I'm gonna close the public hearing. I'm gonna come back to the council. Any more questions for the council?
Yeah, just for the record, we're not regulating Lyft and Uber, correct?
No.
Correct.
This is just about the gentleman's business licenses to be extended for 2 years rather than 1.
Thank you for that question. To clarify, we are not allowed to regulate Uber and Lyft, and that's part of the reason that the amendments specifically incorporate the state law definition of taxi cab, because that different definition excludes TNCs, which are companies like Uber and Lyft, from the definition of taxi cab, and municipalities are not allowed by state law to regulate those companies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
While you're there, Jenna, I would like to just say that if I was to need a taxi cab right now, what would I be looking for? Am I Googling, or do we know the name of this taxi cab? Because we never heard the name. What's his name? What are we going to do here?
So I think that was the information that that Councilwoman Tomas Morgan sent, but I believe the two companies are United Cab of South Bend and Eagle Cab.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I need a motion on Bill 46.
I move to send Bill 4626 to the whole council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor? Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Tomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
All right.
I would, Councilwoman, Ophia Rogers, I was unable to make any comments, because, we was moving so quickly. It's part of my fault in regards to the work that has been done, looking at the quality of life ordinances. And, I think, Jenna and others, because looking at our quality of life ordinances, they're critical because our neighborhoods have to be safe, clean, and we have to work together. And I heard a lot of good of statements coming from council members in regards to measurable outcomes, enforcement, as well as I would like to invite any council members who would like to ride with me as we go through the various districts and just kind of see for ourselves as well. But I think that measurable outcomes, enforcement, and a lot which have been stated, it's important for us to move forward and that we have that information as well. But again, if you want to go right through the band, let me know.
Bill 4626 is passed. At this time, I entertain a motion to rise from the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
You have to do an all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now it's passed.
Bills on third reading. The full council is now back in session, and this is the portion of our meeting where bills are given a third reading and action taken regarding the bills that were heard in the committee of the whole. Clerk Toronto, would you give Bill 40-26 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 16-53 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding conditions constituting public nuisance.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a recommendation from the committee of the whole?
Yes, committee met this afternoon and it was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 40-26.
Move for passage. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Beidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride. Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 8 ayes.
All right, 40-26 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, please give 41-26 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 20, Article 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code to update definitions, procedures, and enforcement provisions relating to abandoned vehicles.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a recommendation from the committee of the whole?
4126 was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Beidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride. Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
8 ayes.
41-26 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, please give 42-26 a third reading. I'm sorry.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 20-84 of the South Bend Municipal Code concerning improper vehicle parking.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a report or recommendation from the committee of the whole?
Yes, 4226 was heard in committee this afternoon and was sent to the full council with favorable recommendation.
All right, I will now entertain a motion.
Move for
Move
the
for
passage.
passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Good Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride. Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 8 ayes.
42-26 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, please give a third reading to Bill 43-26.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 20, Article 11 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding the parking of large vehicles.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole?
4326 were heard in committee this afternoon and was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
43-26 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, would you please give 40-26 a third reading? 45-26.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 203 Johnson Street, 207 Johnson Street, 213 Johnson Street, 215 Johnson Street, 2013 Orange Street, and 2014 Parallel Street, Councilmanic District Number 2 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole?
4526 was heard in committee and was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
45-26 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, please give Bill 46-26 a third reading.
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 4-61 of the South Bend Municipal Code regarding taxi cab licensings and operations and providing for the extension of current licenses.
Councilwoman Gooden Rogers, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole?
4626 was sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
All right, 46-26 has been adopted. Resolutions. This is the portion of the council meeting where the Common Council hears bills filed as proposed resolutions. The title of each proposed resolution is read by the city clerk. A report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee to which the bill was referred to for an advisory review and recommendation is then given. During the public portion of each proposed resolution, members of the public are invited to address the council. We ask that you please give your name, address, and comments on the bill. If you have any questions, they will be addressed by the presenter during their rebuttal. Each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes, with those speaking in favor going first, followed by those in opposition, then a 5-minute rebuttal for the presenter of the bill. Clerk Toronto, would you give Resolution 26-20 a reading?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a lease between the South Bend Redevelopment Authority and its South Bend Redevelopment Commission and taking other actions related thereto.
All right. Is there a committee report?
Chair, Bill 26-20, the resolution was heard by the Community Investment Committee, and we send this to you with a favorable recommendation.
All right. Petitioner, I said you state your name and address for the record and your presentation.
Thank you, council members. Joe Molnar, Deputy Director of the Department of Community Investment with offices on the 5th floor of City Hall. Very glad to be here today to present the project list and of course the overall newly proposed neighborhood bond for the River West TIF. We have staff from outside counsel Barnes and Thornburg and financial analysis Baker Tilly here if you have any questions for them. But first I'd like to go through the projects that this proposed River West TIF bond would support. Try this again. There we go. Sorry about that. So just a little bit of historical background. The last time the city used this tool was back in 2022 and then the bonds were closed on in 2023 for a number of neighborhood improvements, which are under construction or complete. So the last time this tool was utilized, that was the partial of the funding for Kennedy Park, the new improvements at Kennedy Park, including new pool and aquatics facility, new athletic courts, playgrounds, and paths. That is under construction now with an anticipated completion date in 2027. The Martin Luther King New Dream Center improvements specifically to the park itself, so new splash pad, playgrounds, and expanded basketball courts was funded. That is completed. Linden Avenue streetscape improvements complete as well. Improvements to the Southeast Park, including new splash pad and playground, those were completed. Walkerfield Park improvements and then connection improvements to Rum Village Park. Those have been completed. The Madison Lifestyle District parking garage, that's under construction now. And the only project that has not been under construction is the Portage Elwood Sidewalk project, which is under design. The situation changed after the bond was closed upon when the city acquired the former Martin's Portage Elwood Shopping Center. Now that the city has control of that site, wanted to rethink how that intersection can proceed. So since facts changed, the money is still sitting, going to be used for that intersection, but we're waiting for a final design. And that's actually a project we'll get to in a little bit. So that's kind of a recap of the projects that the last time the city partook this process was able to fund some really great neighborhood improvements, and we're looking to do the same again. So the first would be an extension of the coal line phase 3. Just a little bit of background, the coal line trail, phase 1 and 2 fully complete. This was after an engaged public planning process from 2016 to 2019. Phase 1, which stretched from Lincoln Way west to basically the river, was completed in 2022. And then the second phase, which took it from the river to 933 and Angela, was complete in 2024 using former rail right-of-way. Here are pictures of the path as it is today, a highly utilized path kind of meandering through a few different neighborhoods. Coal line phase 3 would be an extension of that trail from Lincoln Way West to the new Martin Luther King Dream Center. There's actually a federal contribution on this project, so 80% of the construction costs for phase 3 would actually come from the federal government, with this bond helping pay for those remaining 20%. Extension of the coal line trail was part of the Kennedy Park neighborhood plan, which was created with neighborhood feedback and then approved by the Common Council back in 2022. This would be similar in style and function to the Link Trail that recently opened along South Bend Avenue. This would use existing city right-of-way and no additional land would be required, and aligns with also with recommendation 32 of the Repertory Justice Commission's report, which that's a section of the Repertory Justice Commission talking about investment on the west side, specifically the lack of sidewalks on vacant land. As this would be all new sidewalks on both sides of College Street running the length of College down to the Dream Center. So here in green is where the proposed new path would go, with the star at the bottom being the location of the new Dream Center, really stitching together a few different West Side neighborhoods. In conjunction with Coal Line Phase 3, there'd be College Street streetscape improvements. So here's on the red circle, kind of a highlight of College Avenue, as you see quite a few vacant lots, and on the right are the conditions of the sidewalks today. So as this was also noted in the Kennedy Park Neighborhood Plan, which was adopted in 2022, as I said, which called for improvements along the length of College Street. Again, using existing city right-of-way, no additional land required. And again, aligns with that recommendation 32, providing all new curbs, sidewalks, safer pedestrian crossings, and street trees. New Rum Village Neighborhood Center. Earlier this year, the city acquired a former William Penn building on Indiana Avenue with plans to redevelop that space into a neighborhood center for the Rum Village neighborhood, as well as with a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club as one of the main uses in the building. The Rum Village neighborhood has no community center currently, and their neighborhood plan also improved in 2022 after neighborhood feedback called for the establishment of a true neighborhood center that kids would be able to walk to, people would be able to go to throughout the week. We're currently doing several different community engagements with the Rum Village neighborhood to figure out what exactly they would like to see in this space beyond just the Boys and Girls Club. We did a community outreach back in June with another one planned later on this year, and there's an online portal as well. People can submit ideas. After that initial feedback, the biggest items that we've seen from the residents that they would like to see here is after-school programming, community multi-purpose rooms, possibly childcare, gym spaces, or even a cafe. So we're working through those ideas now of what the actual space will materialize, but this would provide the funding for that redevelopment of that building. A near West Side neighborhood park, specifically site acquisition dollars. The near West Side neighborhood has no formal city managed neighborhood park. And back when the near West Side was doing its planning process back in 2022, the primary request that the city heard and that the residents came out and expressed was that they did not have their own neighborhood park that they could walk to within a few minutes of their home. So this bond funding would help with acquisition dollars for the site, so that when an agreed upon site, when there's a deal with a property owner or something to sell land, there'd be acquisition dollars there to be able to utilize. So that would be that section. Drury's Brewery and Portage Elwood Shopping Center infrastructure funding. Since acquisition of the Drury's Brewery in 2022 by the city has cleared and cleaned up the blighted space. And in that time, the city has engaged multiple times with residents on their feedback of what they would see with that former brewery site, 2018, 2024, and 2026. Portage Elwood Neighborhood Center Vision came out of that, which is a planning document calling for new housing in the area with new, retail opportunities for residents. And over those, many years feedback, residents really expressed cleanup of the site, which we think we were getting very close to being saying that part is finished. Restoring that commercial node, making it a place where people can go shopping again. People remember when Martin's was there, when they had a neighborhood grocery store. They would like to see that return, as well as new housing opportunities, specifically affordable and attainable housing opportunities. So this is how the site looked like in 2022 when the city assumed ownership. And then here's the site just a few months ago with the final remaining foundations and buildings. So this is a concept plan. This is certainly not a final plan, and it will change over time, but just gives an idea of a sense of, building a new neighborhood here with new streets, new connections, multiple different types of housing types for different affordability levels, as well as if you see here, we are specifically calling out a grocery store coming back to this intersection, which we think multiple neighborhoods in that area are really calling for and would like to see. And we're certainly going to do everything in our effort to make that happen. So the funding from this bond would help support infrastructure for streets and utilities to support a phase 1 of redevelopment. Obviously, it wouldn't be able to cover the entire site all in one go, but certainly a good chunk of a phase 1. with the goals that we've heard from the neighborhood, especially at the most recent listening sessions for new commercial activity with the goal of a grocery store at that corner, as well as new housing that is attainable and affordable for area residents. This goal aligns with recommendations 23, 25, and 30 of the Repertory Justice Commission reports. 23 calls for working with CDFIs and local nonprofits to create more affordable housing. That's certainly our intention with those new housing. 25 calls for new developments should not displace existing residents and include affordable housing. That is certainly our mission on this one as well. There were no current residents, obviously, at the brewery to displace, but we certainly, when we put housing there, want to make sure it's attainable. And 30, support construction of housing for those below 80% of the area median income, which this would also fit that bucket. Measle Grove Park improvements just next door. The park has not seen significant upgrades recently, and this park actually serves kind of as a hinge for multiple neighborhoods on the northwest side, connecting them. With the Drury space now completely removed, it kind of allows us to rethink what the park could look like. It's a very kind of narrow north-south park currently. With Drury's removed, it's maybe we can expand the park, make it bigger, give more opportunities for residents to be able to utilize that space. Again, in those resident engagement sessions, we've heard from residents they would like to see a more active park with, maybe expanded playground facilities, maybe more athletic courts, things like that. So again, this is the concept plan of how the park can maybe grow into what is currently the Drury site with, maybe some type of water feature or other amenities that the residents could use, as well as, new trails, new playground, things like that. Infrastructure improvements to support affordable housing projects, including roads, stormwater, and utilities. The South Bend Heritage and Redevelopment Commission have partnered to build 42 new low-income homes. South Bend Heritage received a low-income housing tax credit award from the state of Indiana, with the RDC providing land and the new infrastructure needed to build those housings. The development agreement that was approved contemplated some of those costs coming from a potential bond. That infrastructure would also help support the New Day Access Center with the road to the north. This again aligns with those Repertory Justice Commission recommendations calling for work with a CDFI and local nonprofit, of which South Bend Heritage is, not displacing existing residents and supporting construction for housing for those below 80% area median income. All the housing units in this development would meet that category. Here is the South Bend Thrive site that South Bend Heritage built, and Tri-Day would be a similar style and scale. Morris Performing Arts Center parking garage. The Never Ending Encore, the Morris 100 projects, was established to ensure that the Morris Performing Arts Center would survive and thrive into its second century as a vital resource for our community. So this was a multi-phased approach, with the community over a number of years, really to make sure that the Morris can be here for the length of our lives. Phase one included vital infrastructure improvements to the theater, including HVAC improvements, new seating, and other improvements to the actual theater space. Phase two was the attached Rack and Murphy Encore Center. And then phase three is envisioned as an attached parking garage immediately to the west of the Encore Center. The city and volunteer community raised capital for all three phases, and there's actually a very significant large amount of donations for the garage waiting to move forward, but there's a required city match. Multiple public meetings, events, and feedback over a multi-year period have been taking place on this project. Right now, there is really no accessible ADA way to get to the Morris Performing Arts Center. If you are elderly or have other mobility issues, you might have to park 2 or 3 blocks away. This would allow parking attached on site. When the Encore Center was built, there's actually an area on its western wall built to take, you'll be able to walk or wheelchair right from the garage into the Encore Center and then into the Morris Performing Arts Center, as well as providing, just needed parking for the Morris. If you've ever been downtown on a day where the Morris is having a show, it's wonderful when 2,000 to 3,000 people come downtown, but it's sure, it is very difficult to find a place to park, and this would certainly alleviate some of that. So the Morris improvements on the left, that's the theater space, and that's the Encore Center on the right, which is now finished. This is how a potential layout would work with a parking garage right here, as I said, attached to the Morris Encore addition. That's the list of the projects. All have been through public planning processes. Many of them are part of neighborhood planning documents that have been approved by the Common Council in the past. Unfortunately, these things take a long time. And so some of them we've been working on for a number of years, but we're excited to get these moving. As you see, the ones outlined in green, these are all approvals that have already happened from the Redevelopment Commission and the Redevelopment Authority. If the South Bend Common Council would adopt the resolution today, then it would have to go back to the BPW, Board of Public Works, Redevelopment Authority, and RDC for final document approvals, and then a bond closing on October 1st scheduled. Here's the list of projects. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. As I said, Tom Everett and Matt Eckerly are here to answer any more technical questions you might have.
All right, council members, are there any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Joe, I want to know when the College Street streetscapes will take off.
I believe it design's almost finished. I think it'd be next year that'd be construction.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Not a question that we have shorter time the last in the committee, but I wanted to acknowledge that you're looking at that reparations report and to continue doing that and checking off those, and those nice sidewalks in those areas will be something that the public can see and that we are moving forward.
Dr. Davis?
I'm grateful that you're looking at the Rum Village area. As you well know, that's been a situation. I can walk to that location, and I'm grateful for Councilwoman Sheila Nagowski's leadership on that also. And I really like to join you in looking at that whole idea of what can we do more. You know, you mentioned that you're looking at more. When you think about we're doing something more than that, what comes to mind? Because, you know, the house is an old house and everything else. Is there more you can use in the backyard, on the side, or what can we do outside of it that can even add to the whole area?
For the neighborhood center?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're looking at, and that's why we're trying to do the feedback right now from the neighborhoods, because we don't want to put something there that they're like, we won't use that. So if we get a ton of people saying we would love a lit basketball court that we can use at night, we'll look at that. If they want daycare services, we're going to look at how do we get those. We definitely want it to not just be the building, but that the city owns the land around it. And we'd like that to be an appealing, attractive place for people to be able to see and appreciate in their neighborhood. But I'm happy to have.
And a follow-up question with that is the land next to it, is anything next to it available to be bought, or what's the status of adjacent properties?
So when the city purchased the building, everything west of Prairie, the city owns, as well as I think one lot to the east. And then we even own some of the lots across the street, the redevelopment commission does.
That's correct.
Help for parking as well.
Okay.
So we certainly have a nice blank canvas that we would like to make sure to do a good job in putting in there what the neighborhood actually wants.
So with that, you can look at, even with that property, expanding it to courts and really widening it off so it can be outside and inside kind of a event for us over there in the 6th, correct?
Yes, correct. Because we've seen the number one thing people have asked for is after school.
That's correct.
Opportunities for their children, both through formal, scripted, as well as free play. Places they can send their kids that are safe, from the hours of 4 to 6, that they know they're not going to get into trouble, that are staffed well. And of course, if it's the summer or if it's a nice day outside, kids don't want to be inside.
I know.
So we're going to have to make sure it is indoor, outdoor.
I appreciate your service with that. So thank you. We'll talk together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, President Lee. As you know, I've been quite the advocate for the neighborhood center. I've worked a long time to try and find a location, and we finally have a good partner that's going to run the programming. And I seen you said the bond for the final would be October 1, and you have the gentleman here that will help with that process. So once that bond on October 1 passes, what would be a realistic, date on getting, because there is a lot of improvements that need to be done with that William Penn building. I'm trying not to be one-sided. I appreciate the parks, the trails, the housing units, all of that. But for my own, district and the people that I represent, I get a lot of questions. Sheila, when is that going to happen? So I just wondered if you had a timeline.
Yeah, I always wish we could move faster, especially when it
me
comes to
too.
construction design. So right now we're kind of spending, this time, getting the funding identified because we definitely don't want to announce, we don't want to tell everyone this is coming. We've
Right.
been very preliminary saying we need to make sure that we get these dollars to make this happen. So we're going to spend 2026 getting neighborhood input feedback. We have another neighborhood session planned, to make sure that what we do with the space is something that the neighborhood's actually going to utilize and want. And then we'll move right into design with those dollars as well. And then hopefully we see some construction activity in 27, hopefully in the middle of the year, if not, sooner.
Okay, and I do appreciate all of the public engagements that we have had so far. And I know there's an online survey that people can fill out too, but I think that last public engagement piece for me will kind of put all that together too. But I do support the bond. I hope that my fellow council members support this bond. I can tell you that community center means everything to the people that I represent on the west side of South Bend, and it will help strengthen the Rum Village neighborhood as a whole. And I believe there are some people from the neighborhood association here that's worked with me closely over the past few years. So I do hope I could get everyone's support to pass this. Thank you.
Joe, anyone else? I'm looking down the table. Okay. Joe, I just want to say thank you. If you look at all of the things that's being funded here, it really is an impact on the west side of South Bend. From the coal line connecting Lincoln Way to the Dream Center that goes right through the inner city. You look at College Street, that goes right through the inner city. Then we look at Rum Village on the other side. We look at the near West Side Park, right in the heart. And then Drury's and Measle Grove. And these are things that people didn't think we would ever be able to get done, but we've been able to get it done. And it's going to make a tremendous impact in the first and second district. And then the parking garage for the Morris. These are very important things, important projects that will help take South Bend to a higher level. So thank you and your team for all the work that you guys have done. All right, at this time, I will go to the public hearing. Clerk Toronto, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in favor, online or in person?
Members of the public in person, if you are wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow council members. My name is Dwayne Wilson, 1827 Eagle Point Court in South Bend. I come as the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, so I speak in favor of this. And Dr. Davis, I want to answer one of the questions. The first thing, as Joe said, was after-school programming. The number 2 item on the list was a place for seniors to go and to gather.
Thank you.
And so I think that's really important for us because we value intergenerational connections, and I think we want that place to be able to do that. Yes.
I'm getting great.
So, but the reason I'm in favor of it, I think number 1 is because the community wants it.
Yes.
And I think that is really important. As we stood in the listening session, I see a few of the neighborhood association folks here tonight. This is something that they want. This is something that they value. And as we listened, we wanted to put together something that they will use. And so I think that is the most important reason why I'm a favorite. But just as a professional, we serve about 1,000 kids in South Bend kids across probably about 21 sites. Most of them are in school. What this building will allow for us, this place will allow for us, is to serve kids well. It's really hard to do significant programming if you're just in a cafeteria or in a gym. But when you have spaces, outdoor spaces, when you have spaces that can be transformed, you can bring partners in, and it could really do some wonderful things. I mean, I know how we utilize our O.C. Carmichael building on the southeast side. It's just so much more flexibility and opportunity. And so it's exciting for me as the leader of a Boys and Girls Club, but I believe this is exciting for the city as well. And I think for that community and the beauty of that building, as I've seen some renderings, will fit right into the neighborhood center plan. So I'm excited, and of course, I'm in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk Dorado, anyone else? Please.
Are there any members wishing to speak in favor? Please approach the podium. And if there's anyone additional, you may stand in line as well, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Tiana Petiso Adele, 330 Colfax Avenue. I think the things that I want to speak to first and foremost is just reminding the council how it's so important to have a timeline of the repertory reports, recommendations, an actual strategic plan laid out. Because we know that the budget season is up and coming, and it's great to see that things seem to be happening. That's wonderful. But unfortunately, the history has been that we don't have the budgeting to do the work that needs to be done, the money that needs to be done. So is this money budgeted? How much needs to be budgeted? Where are we at with that total amount that's needed to get this project done? Because without the transparency on where we are with the Repertory Commission's report, it's really good to see that these recommendation numbers like 23, 25, and 30 were listed on their presentation. But as a citizen, it would be even better to see a whole map, a strategic map of how all of those 60 plus recommendations were laid out and where they're going to fit along this whole project that needs to be done to fix our city. Because just throwing the numbers up and making talking points that you're touching on the Repertory Justice Commission report is not enough. It's been 100 years of discrimination. And right now, we don't have a budget that's been passed to put this over there yet. And is that really going to happen? How much is needed? Where are we at with that? And is it really going to get done? And so again, thank you for putting out nuggets of that Repertory Commission's report, but that's not enough. It's been over 30 days. Somebody at this city should be able to be strategic with your help on how you're going to impact all 60 of those recommendations, and not just have people come up here and start using that code words like you're doing something. Because to me, it just feels like the 80s again, and we're just putting up projects in the hood. That's what it feels like. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll give Joe a chance to address that at the end, but everyone else that's in favor, so, and you were in favor? Okay, thank you.
Hello, my
Please.
name is Evelyn Gills. I'm the Vice President of the Rum Village Neighborhood Association, and yes, we are in favor of this bond. Board had unanimously agreed. This is something that we've been wanting for a long time. Rum Village is a very unique place. I've been living there 41 years. And on the outskirts, you see business, but it's really a neighborhood on the inside. So you have to ride through to actually notice the neighborhood, where there's a lot of children and a lot of seniors. And so we appreciate the investment that's been made, and the Boys and Girls Club, we appreciate that, and we are in favor. Now,
Everybody has been saying so many great things about this project, and Rum Village itself is really excited to see something happen.
Could you please state your name
Oh, sorry.
and address for the record and talk in the mic? Thank you, sweetie.
Well, my name is Patty Hiddle, and I live in Rum Village. I'm the treasurer for the Neighborhood Association. First of all, Patrick couldn't be here tonight. He sends his regards, but he has some family issues that had to be dealt with. And so I also contacted all of our board members, and they're all in favor of the bond. We're excited to see it happening. It's really important for Rum Village. We have no focal point in our community. We have no gathering point in our community. We have Rum Village Park, but you know, some of us can't go galloping around the park, you know. So we're just really excited that we're going to get a building, and it's going to sit on that corner for one thing. With the gas station just being put on the other corner, not so sure I'm happy about that, but that's okay. And the German club is being used very positively. Even the shelter building on Indiana Avenue has improved the looks of the neighborhood and the community in there. And I think being an outsider coming into Rum Village in the early 90s and getting to know all the people and how they would talk about Indiana Avenue and how wonderful it used to be. And I just kind of see this as a beginning of growth and seeing Indiana Avenue and Prairie Avenue just building. And even our Indiana Avenue from Prairie to Oliver. Yes, we're really in favor of all this, and we just want to say thank you so very much. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Anyone else want to speak in favor?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Is there anyone that wants to speak in opposition?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
All right, at this time, the public hearing portion is closed. Is there any council members that would like to make any comments before we take a vote? If not, I will now entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I have 9 ayes.
All right. Resolution 2620 has been adopted. All right. Before we go on to 2621,
Yes.
Vice President Niskoski would like to make a statement.
Thank you, President Lee. Before we get to the next bill, I'm going to recuse myself from Bill 2621. This means that I will completely step aside from this decision. The reason for the recusal, and for the record, my husband is State Senator David Niskoski, and he is the author of the Midwest Continental Divide Bill. So by in doing so and leaving the room, both for the presentation and the vote, hopefully that will assure everyone to avoid any appearance of trying to influence the decision. So if you would give me a second to step out of the room, please.
Thank you.
And thank you to the Rum Village Neighborhood Association for coming.
All right, Clerk Toronto, would you please give Resolution 2621 a reading?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, urging a pause on the enactment of the Midwest Continental Divide Trail and committing to resident input, fiscal responsibility, and property rights.
All right, Dr. Davis.
You have to have a committee.
Oh, I'm sorry, committee report?
Yeah, Zoning and Annexation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring this resolution to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
All right.
Now I may proceed. Joining me, President Lee, in my presentation will be Mr. Brent Burkus and Blatt Farms, and also Ms. Chantel Snyder of Snyder Farms. They will be a part of my presentation. And then the three of us will answer questions prior to everything else. I brought my umbrella. Had to use it in here, coming in here today. Because the weather person, I looked up and I knew it was gonna be some bad weather. They said the weather was coming over from Chicago. And I knew that I needed to bring this today. And so when the weather person announces something, they said they looked at the path that it was coming in. And we need to look at the path. The path of this whole issue from the chocolate factory, all the way through the Pokagons, and then from the Pokagons down to North Liberty. Individual people who are in the path, like the weather person today said, that take cover. We all took cover here. Many of them are not allowed to take cover. They didn't even talk about taking cover. This bill was passed in the House and it was passed in the state. And many of those in the path of the storm were not given the opportunity to take cover. And so today, the council, the county council leadership, who is also a part of us, they are part of this council as we see in our resolution. They have said that they are going to pause. I appreciate that, because as you can see, there's a lot of people who are saying that they're going to pause. But then there's a lot of folk who said, are they really pausing? Are there backdoor meetings? Are there's this going on? And so this lets them know for us to vote tonight says the county has paused, the city has paused, we all have paused. We're not making any decisions in the back. And that's the key. That's the issue. And so I know we all got a letter from Mayor Mueller right before. I've looked at that. I wish he would have sent us, if he could send us a letter so quick, I wish he would have included this 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, everything else. And to imply anything political, whether I'm on the city council or whether I'm down to the state house, I got to deal with this. So it doesn't matter. Don't matter where I'm going to be or where God's going to take me. The bottom line is we got to deal with this. We all live here. And when these folks show up, we got to deal with this. And so the weather storm, people coming through, Miss Chantel Snyder is going to talk about the money, because so many times they said we're going to lose this money if we pause. Well, she's going to talk about that. And then Mr. Brent Burkus is going to talk about what it feels like for somebody else to just step on your land and talk about eminent domain. There's talk that, well, the mayor's office without the councils can initiate eminent domain or these other kind of things. We need to talk about that feeling of what it's like. So I'll stop right here. You heard the other part today, the resolution. I've already read it. You've caught me. So we're here from Ms. Chantel Snyder to talk about the fact that there are more options than just a trail.
Good evening. I'm Chantel Snyder. I reside at 57501 Mayflower Road, South Bend. The reason I'm here today is because my farm falls within the zone that has been identified for the path of this trail. One particular part of my farm is targeted in a destination zone shown in the master plan for the trail. There have been a lot of public statements made by people who are promoting this trail that if we don't create this trail system, we will lose that funding. That is patently false. The funding comes from a compact from the Pokagon Band and the state of Indiana. They agreed in exchange for a 16 county buffer of a zone around them of 16 counties that would be barred from class 3 gambling and competing with their South Bend casino. And in exchange, the state would be given $2 million a year for 20 years. And that was to be directed to the community of St. Joe County around their casino. And they were given many options on how to use that land. And among them is recreation, yes. But on page 28 of the compact, and I have an extra copy here if anyone would like to have it and read it. It's also available online. But the intent of the state and the band, Pokagon Band, that funds be used for the following program areas: education, economic and workforce development, tourism, promotion, and public health. So this trail proposes to use all of that money for recreation. And as a landowner whose farm is falling within that zone, I think that is really poor planning, poor decision-making. They didn't notify us. There are lots of other options that the county could come up with, you know, an alternate plan, an alternate use, maybe split it up and cover more of these options that are given in this compact from 2021. You know, predating that trail plan by several years. It doesn't have to all be thrown into this trail. And it's my contention that the trail plan is really an excuse to develop the city in the direction of my farm and my neighbors' farms as an area for growth with homes and whatnot. And, you know, that's a little shady in my estimation. You know, if you want to expand and annex that part of the county, then be upfront about it. Talk to us. Before the pandemic, there was a vote. They asked us if we wanted to voluntarily be annexed part of our property, and we all said no. You know, be more open, you know, involve us in the decision-making, because there are other options for the use of this money. Yes, the trail funding might go away, but the money from the Pokagon Band in this compact with the state funneled to the county, that's not going anywhere. The county and the city need to work together to come up with a better plan for the use of those funds. And we have some public, some posters here showing that legislation and how it's broken up. And this supports my assertion that that trail plan is really about development. And if you look at these two posters and read through the information, you can see how it breaks down. So we need to go back to this compact, figure out how to use this money more wisely for the betterment of all of our citizens, not just for, you know, those who want to ride a trail or go for a walk. Thank you.
I appreciate what Ms. Snyder said there, because of the fact that we are looking at not only the county making decisions, but the city. So we can make recommendations too, because who came up with the idea? Since the county has a part on the seat of the commission, the city has it. So where did the whole decision to come to say, we're not going to do education, we're not going to do anything with health, we're going to do the trail. And so we need to have us as a player in that decision to be a part of that. And that's what we are talking about. So I'm glad that she summarized that, because there are other options and we don't lose the money. Yes, now we talk about the challenges of eminent domain and just being left out. When is your land?
You have to go to the clerk's office, please.
We'll take them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Brent Burkus, 58995 Mayflower Road. I'd like to read to you a portion from the report that the city paid for from 2021. The contributing partners were the City of South Bend Mayor James Mueller, Santiago Graces, Tim Corcoran, Caleb Bauer. For St. Joe County, it was Bill Shalio, Abby Wiles. Developers, Mark Tarner and Brad Toothaker. 2022, again, this is what you paid for. Quote, to create a new identity for the area of St. Joe County and the City of South Bend around the concept of an economically viable eco district. Well, right now it's an ag district, but they want to change it to an eco district. This new place would become a regional destination and a national model for development. So when you look at this and what has been proposed and you start reading about it and you look at the funding behind this and who's behind it, there's a lot of connections here, folks. A lot of connections. I would like to read to you, and by the way, this legislation, S468, is very flawed. I'd like to read you what I just received from Mr. Teshka, who Mr. Nitskansky was the sponsor. Mr. Teshka carried this bill in the Indiana House. This is what Mr. Teshka just sent me a little bit ago. I'd like to read this out. He knows I'm going to read it out. and he's fine with it. And it says, and I quote, I asked him if he's going to be here tonight. I have a prior commitment tonight. I had previously called the council members and the commissioners to get them to support stopping it, getting it pulled. I have language requested with LSA for a repeal bill and a separate bill to ban eminent domain for recreational projects. So this is from Mr. Teschka, individual that carried this bill. So obviously there's issues, okay? A lot of them. I also I find it very interesting, and I'm just going to make this comment, that back in 2023, I was working with Ms. Nizgoski on an environmental issue, a big environmental issue. I have all the text and all that. And 2 years later, all of a sudden S468 shows up. And in that bill, you know, there's a few things about the trail, as you can tell on the charts. But what's very interesting is that a big part of this bill refers to pollution control facilities, acquiring, construction, rehabilitating, repairing, redevelopment projects, economic development facilities, pollution control. Those pictures here, when I say pollution control, this is what we're talking about, because this is what is coming out of the city on our farms. That's the city's attempt to breathe life back in the farm that it died off. So these are the kinds of things we dealt with. So I would submit to this group that let's get the water issues addressed. I mean, that's gonna be a lot of money. We all understand that. But we've got some major issues. We've got EPA issues out here. And this goes to our drinking water. My grandson drinks this water out in North Liberty. That's unacceptable. It's also unacceptable we have environmental issues in the city that need to be addressed. It was at the Bass Lake. There's a lot of issues there. My point here is that before Mueller and his band of developers and lobbyists want to come out to our farms and turn our lives upside down, why don't we get the money pointed in the right direction here in the city? And I think it's about people, not places. Because if you can elevate the people and you can get them what they need in a strong community, the places will follow. I'm going to submit to you that this administration has had the cart in front of the horse for way too long. They want places. They don't care about people. Okay? And I'll tell you, I have changed a lot over the years because I have a hard time driving downtown seeing people sleep in the grass and in doorways. And I support downtown businesses every day for breakfast and lunch. And that bothers me. And I think that the money that the administration is flowing around here for development needs to be better used here for people. Thank you.
In a day and time when you don't have people cross the aisle, both, especially at the same time when they're running against each other. I'm running against Jake Teschka, he's running against me. But the bottom line, we both served in this council together. He and I, he's the sponsor from the House. He just read a letter from him. And I also agree that we should hold it. I mean, when the sponsor tells you to hold it, I mean, I've sponsored things. You all have sponsored things. And if it got, then, you know, something happened in your family or you needed to change it or whatever, you said, hey, can I hold off this week? Can I hold off that week? I need to hold it. So when a sponsor sits up there and tells the county, can I hold it? It's not Oliver Davis sitting up there. The sponsor, I wasn't even at the meeting in North Liberty. I was at my cousin's funeral. When he's sitting up there to say it's sponsored, it needs to hold it, I'm agreeing with everybody else. And then you get a letter like we got today from this, like all this is happening. I'm like, really? No, the sponsor himself is saying, hold off. Now, while he and I may debate over other issues and all that kind of things and go from here to go from there, on that one, we're right in the middle of the bow tie. We're okay. So why in the world should we delay We want to send a message to this whole community, the city of South Bend, St. Joe County, everybody's affected by this, because this is coming from the chocolate factory to the Pokagons. I fought for the Pokagons all in 6th District. I helped lead them there. Okay? We did a lot in Rum Village for over 12 years. So I appreciate all the development we're doing there, but I fought for them. Now, a lot of the money that came in with the Power Park, I don't want to get into all that. But anyway, the bottom line, we fought to have them there because a lot of neighborhoods didn't want them to be here. And I did. And we came to this council and voted. And at the same time, our neighbors supported them. Well, they are neighbors too. And to sit up here and for me to step on his foot, that's disrespectful. Everything I needed to learn, I have a high school diploma, I have a master's, doctorate, all that. But forget about all that. Everything I needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten. And in kindergarten basically is you don't step on somebody else's foot. If you do, you say, excuse me. Okay? I work with 5th graders, 4th graders all the time. Bump into, say, excuse me. But he say, excuse me. Okay, excuse me. Now you say, excuse me. You see him. Okay, y'all go down out of here. This is bumping against people's feet. It's stepping on them. I'm a Democrat, be Republican. This has nothing to do with party. This has something to do with family, with people, with all of us. We're hurt. And so that's why you have this whole crowd of here sitting up here say, can we pause? Can we pause? I've asked for my legislation to be paused. This is my 15th year. I paused several things. No, we got to push on. We got to push on. Why? The county's paused. Let's join with them. This is not a no. We're going to keep the 40 million. We can resign, but I want to be included at the table. This is dinner time. I'm working on my wage, but I still want to get some food. And to hear the president last time to say we have not had this discussion. This is the first time we're having this discussion. Yet, why should we not wait? We should wait today, and we should pause and wait till after all this, send this back, whether I'm downstate or whether Jake's back downstate, or whoever, David is back downstate, whoever's downstate, I don't care. Right now, they can fix it, meet the needs, come back up here, we all can celebrate, jump up and down, and have some party and food and be happy. But right now, we're not happy. And our job is to relieve pain as social workers, as counselors, and that's what we're here for. We're here to answer questions. All three of us will answer your questions, and we're ready to roll. Thank you for the time.
All right.
Y'all can come up and
We're-
stand next to me.
We're at the public hearing portion.
I didn't know if you all wanted to have any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were still in your presentation. Now we're going to do we have any questions? Council members, do you have any questions? Sherry?
Yes. I have a question about like the commission, and I understand there different people have different entities have appointees, as the mayor has an appointee, correct? And then the Pokagon band also is a member of the commission.
That is correct.
Are they a voting member, or is it set up like, since they are a sovereign nation?
They are a voting member. The city gets a voting member, the county gets a voting member, and the Pokagons get a voting member. We have 2 other members who are non-voting, who are the 2 legislators that pushed this through the House and the Senate, David Nagansky and Jake Tashka. So if they're not reelected, it'll be whomever assumes those positions within state government, but they don't vote.
But so what came to my mind is like South Bend Community School Corporation has a representative on the redevelopment commission, but they're they're non-voting.
Yeah.
And that seemed more appropriate for the Pokagon band. That's.
Well,
one of my
I questioned that as well when I was reading through the legislation, and I've been through it thoroughly. I created these because it's so dense that I wanted people to be able to scan these and absorb this quickly because it is very, very dense. And I questioned that too because they are a sovereign nation, but yet they are voting on matters that affect the county and the city and our overall community. But I believe the reason they have a voting position on that commission is because of the funding, because the funding comes through that compact from 2021, where they agreed in exchange for that buffer zone around their casino to give money back to the state, which is funneled to the county.
And I have Derek to just answer that question about from the commission and who the city representative is and all that.
Okay. Derek Dieter, 1740 Portage. The commission is made up of two non-voting. One was Jake Teschka and one is David Niskotsky. In addition to have the voting people, which would be three, one would be appointed by Mayor Mueller, one be appointed by the county commissioners, and the third, which took us a long time to figure that out, was by the Pokagon. And because that the Pokagons in between 21 and 22 went from a class 2 to a class 3 casino, which gave them a 16 county monopoly on casinos in addition to extra games. Money was put into a trust fund, which ended up being more than 40 million. And then somewhere down the line, people thought, hey, we can get that. So for that to go in, the Pokagons, which I agree with your comment, they're a sovereign nation tribal entity. Why would they be making decisions outside of their tribal area? So that's how it boiled down to where there was the voters like that.
Derek. Who's the South Bend representative?
Apparently Phil Newbold has been picked by Mayor Mueller, if this continues to go through. That's a fact.
I had a meeting with Mr. Newbold a few weeks ago. We had a very nice conversation and told him that we just want to be left alone and farm and leave our communities alone. I questioned the fact that on the on the board, it's the voting members, city, county, Pokagons. And basically, we live in the county and this impacts the county. So we're going to get outvoted every time between the city and Pokagons. So now we have a function of another, I don't know, country entity making decisions for us and we have no recourse. I mean, if you read S476, and you really need to pull up the bill and read it. And when you do, you'll see what I'm talking about here. That's in the bill. How are we as communities, North Liberty, how do you interpret that? Especially when this calls for a half-mile easement each side of whatever trail, wherever they want to put it. So I informed Mr. Newbold, no, we don't want this. He said, well, what if we skipped your farm and went north and south? I said, no, we don't want this. Honesty saves everybody's time.
Thank you. Your question, Ms.
Yes, it did.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Question, because the petitioner and the state and the county have paused this, it isn't moving forward, correct?
That depends. There have been, if you follow social media, one of the leaders had a meeting last week in North Liberty and it went nuts. And people started sitting, everybody thinks, what's going on here? If you follow this whole story, there are people meeting. I mean, he's met with Mr. Anubo. People are meeting, but not meeting. I appreciate what the county council said, we're not moving forward. Part of it is to move forward is we have to weigh in because they have to approve their person and then we have to approve our person. Okay, it was Mr. Newbill, that part of it, the city council, that legislation has yet to come to us. And that was about to come to, if they had gone there and everything has been moving fast, it would have come to us. But why wait for it to come to us on that decision when we were not included on the whole thing from that standpoint. Since it's going to come to us with that decision that you're talking about, then we should have been there from day one, since we get to a point or confirm whoever the mayor has. And so it can move forward. We want to send a clear message that the county and the city, both of our bodies on record, are pausing. Not just in sitting up there in some press conference or some note, but we just want to say, everybody pause right now. Counties, their leadership has said it. The city council has not said it. And in fact, when you read through the mayor's things, it's more of a blaming me and everything else. And it appears that he's moving forward on that. We're just saying, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council, Miss Council, whoever, let's just pause, especially when the sponsor said pause.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. If I could just have a little input, not every time a pause or a delay means a denial. However, we need to be transparent and have open communication. So when we talk about public engagement and listening to our constituents, we need to do so. And I just think that with me just getting the report that I requested Friday night, and also hearing that one of the co-sponsors, Mr. Teska, who I also served with on this council, put in a pause. My question would be, to all of us is, why not pause it until we get more information, until we get clarification, until there's open dialogue? So I know that's not a question, but I just needed to make that statement.
Yes.
I appreciate that statement, and it makes a lot of sense. And so that's the key thing for me when everybody else was doing that, and you have it from left and right, and it gives that community. We need to send, since this is a big compact, this is not just the South Bend, it's not just the county, it includes all of us. And so with every entity that's working with it agrees with each other, it sends the right message. And that's what you're talking about.
Yes, and I just think to your point is if you have State Rep Jake Teska saying that there needs to be some amendments or some adjustments, we need to see what that looks like. And I am also, know about when you want to do economic development and not going to browbeat whether it's the Pokagon or the city or county at this time, because I understand their interest in development and all that stuff. So without knowing all of the information, because I just got it Friday night, I'm not going to, just rip into that either, because we also receive money from, for instance, the South Bend Cubs. Might not be the same apples to apples, but we also get incentives for that. So I'm not saying that I'm for or against any of the information, but we do need to say, hey, what are we doing? Get more information and have an open dialogue about that.
Councilwoman Rachel Thomas Morgan.
Yes, I wanted to piggyback on President Lee's comment, and I guess to some extent it does with Councilmember McBride's as well. But I think what puzzles me about this resolution is that there is no action for us to take. The fact that the county council did nothing, there's nothing for us to consider. And so in my mind, the resolution is not necessary. But that's not my question. My question is, so are you telling me that in the public input meetings that they had about the plan and the online survey, I received invitations for those. Those were open to the public. I helped push that out. There was an online input form. I filled it out. Are you saying that you didn't participate in those? Because I recall seeing some news media about
did
Black
participate.
Farm.
We both did.
Over a year ago.
Those were held after the legislation was already voted into law.
This was already active legislation.
That didn't, putting a Post-it note on a poster I don't consider that open dialogue with the landowner whose livelihood and property will be affected.
I see.
It was after the vote had already been done.
Okay, I see. I take that point.
Let me
oh,
read to you the May 29th.
Just the one other thing is, it did go through the legislative process in both the House and in the Senate. So that is a very public process that allows participation at various levels.
Ma'am, I'm going to recommend you come to North Liberty next meeting. Yeah, I think you'll get your answer. So on May 29th, they had a meeting of selected people at the South End or the Dinosaur Museum. This is the invitation. This is what it was said. This gathering is intended to bring together a select group of local environmental conservationists and preservationists for an open discussion about the goals, opportunities, and collaborative potential of the Midwest Divide Initiative. We hope this evening will serve as an opportunity to exchange ideas, share perspective, and explore future partnership related to conservation. Due to security and space limit considerations, this event is held by invitation only.
Yeah, I was, what I
So-
was referencing was just the other meetings. And ma'am, you answered my question.
Well,
So thank you.
And let me explain something about those meetings. We found out about it, the landowners. That day, I decided not to watch WSBT and I watched WNDU. And I saw Mr. Peterson being interviewed, talking about the trail, and lo and behold, there's our farm. So at 8:15, I was at his office. And that's how it started. That's how the landowners were notified. And we had a meeting with Mr. Peterson just a couple of days later. And it didn't go very well for him, and it's been going downhill ever since. Because when you read S468, this is a land grab. And we weren't invited. They had security to keep us out. I even sent Mr. Tarner a request. Can I get an invitation too? He didn't send me one.
Yeah, I appreciate those responses. Thank you. My point really is the fact that the county council didn't take any action. There is no action for us to take.
There is an action for us to take because we need to send our own message. We are equal power. And the county has stated, the commissioners have said that they are not going to move forward. And so therefore we need to do it because we are a compact. And if one part of it here says that, there's nothing wrong with doing that. So we send a loud message to the community. If this is all a county issue, I wouldn't bring it up. But we have a seat at the table. We have Phil Newbold who's at the table representing. Plus, we have spent over several hundreds of thousands of dollars at the table here. We have our own planning people who have used our taxpayer monies to do all of this. And this has never been discussed in the city council at all. And so therefore, for something to be continuing to move on, this is a shame that we get a letter from the administration just an hour ago, and they have not sent us anything else. That's a shame. That's a travesty. That's a horrible. That's disrespectful. And we all here, we have a body to deal with each other. So let's not just do that. I mean, we've heard it. And if it was just us, no, the North Liberty didn't hear it. We didn't hear it. So who are all these people at these meetings? Y'all, let's send a clear message, a powerful message that there's nothing wrong with being unified. You know, Psalms 133, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. I know it's not my church time. I ain't gonna sit here and preach, but I tell you the truth, we can learn from David to talk about unity. And so let's bring everybody together. This guy I ran against him for county commissioner. Okay, and he got 17, 16, but who cares? It's not a Democrat stuff, it's a people. And we believe in it. We're done.
President Lee.
One more thing.
Real quickly, ma'am, to your question, it wasn't the county council, it was the county commissioners that pulled it on behalf of Bill Shalio in the redevelopment who pulled it because I think they saw the writing on the wall. No, it's okay, cool.
I'm at peace.
All right,
Any other
thank you.
questions?
President Lee.
Yes.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you all know that I'm new in my role. I've been here for about, I think it's 6 weeks or so. And I received the trail document for the first time on Friday evening. And I was surprised to learn at how, it was the lack of transparency. As a council person, I assumed everybody here knew what was going on and that it was just me and I'm behind and I got to get caught up. I also went to the VPA Board of Commissioners meeting because I wanted to learn what they knew about it. And the president, Mark Neal, was asked, what do you know about this continental divide? And he told all of us that he knew nothing. No one had contacted him. So if you've got a board of commissioners for the parks who hasn't heard anything locally, I just have to question, and this is where I agree with Councilwoman McBride, that I think we need to pause for some transparency. And the comment about that we don't need to do anything, I actually think differently. We're the elected officials. We represent all you all. And I think that this is exactly the role we're supposed to play. So I will be voting in support of the resolution. Thank you, President Lee.
Is there anyone from the public looking to speak in favor?
Good evening, council members. Steve Sass, 27910 US Highway 20, that is New Carlisle. I wrote down some comments earlier and I can pretty much just wad them up and throw them out because of all the comments that I've heard tonight. One of the things that we've heard, well, a couple of recurring things. One is that people didn't know about this, and that is 100% correct. And Mr. Dieter and I have gone to a lot of different entities. MACOG is another one we talked to. They're experts in trail planning. MACOG, were you involved with this? No, we didn't know anything about it. County Parks, did you know anything about it? No, we didn't know anything about it. You know, I've been probably one of the leading voices in conservation in this county for the past 20 plus years or so. I love land protection. I read Mayor Mueller's statement earlier, his email, urging us to protect. This is all about preserving natural treasures. And then he goes on to talk about the misinformation. Then he says it's going to connect Bendix Woods. I don't know if he read this thing or not. Have you guys seen the map, the district map? If you were to vote this thing into, or if you were to vote to pass the ordinance that would form the commission, it would also certify this map as being the district where all this money can be spent. And Bendix Woods is like 5 miles outside of where the trail can even go by the definition. So, but you know, if you look at that map and consider the fact that South Bend paid about 25% of the fees towards the consultants, the no bid consultants, I may add, to put this thing together. 40%, was it that much? Okay, so it was a lot of money anyway, but you look at the map and you see very little of South Bend as being part of this district, a little bit of the west side, a little bit of the south side, and nothing else. You know, we've also talked a lot tonight about the reparations report, right? It seems like we're going down the same path again. We're allocating all of this funding and it's not being spent in the black and brown communities. We've got places like North Liberty, Lakeville. I mean, the area in between, you know, the ethanol plant in North Liberty, like that's where this money is going to be spent. It's not going to be spent on areas like LaSalle Park, for example, MLK Dream Center, Kennedy Park, no trails over there. It's all about going to the casino and to Lakeville. It just absolutely makes no sense to me. So I think you're doing the right thing by pausing this thing, or at least sending the message back to the State House. It's like, hey, you're going to have to fix this a lot before we're able to even consider moving forward with it. A 3-person voting commission is kind of ridiculous for this kind of money. 1 representative from the city, 1 representative from the county, or appointed, and the Pokagon ban that other people have talked about before. It just doesn't make any sense to control. This should be at least a 7, if not a 9-member commission that's controlling this kind of money with stakeholders that are actually part of the community here, that are representative of our community. So I support the resolution and urge you to send the message by adopting it. Thank you.
That for me? Thanks, Alice. Derek Dieter again, 1740 Portage. Again, I've been around a long time. You may disagree with my style, my aggressiveness, but I've been serving the community since 1975. I'm very passionate and concerned about things go on. And this is a classic example of a big cluster, and you put in your last words. So you guys get these encumbrance forms monthly, yearly? It's basically what the city spends. So I hope you do because it's got the city council listed on there. So the one from 21, page 22 at the bottom, $48,000 was spent for, Mr. Burkus showed this briefly, of this booklet, which is Ecotourism Planning for the Western Reserve of South Bend. So I don't think anybody from the city ever showed you that, because on the back, James Mueller, Tim Corcoran, Caleb Bauer, Bill Shalio from us, Abby Wiles, and Mark Tarner. And remember Mark Tarner, because he was another person who gave the Sean Peterson, the attorney who's been doing all this fact finding or at least providing stuff, he gave him $50,000 for this plan. In addition, the city of South Bend spent $150,000 in fall of 24. And then because this attorney made a mistake, y'all had to pay another 37. So the city of South Bend is up to about $225,000. And it's appalling that none of you guys were made aware of this. It's, you guys are the nuts and bolts. You're the one out in the districts. You guys are the one hustling in the city, taking your districts. You're out there. And for the administration, one, not to be here to explain something instead of sending an email, that's bull. Number two, in this entire contract, which I'm sure nobody showed you, which was signed by Caleb Bauer and the people, project tasks, and I'll read them quickly. Community development partners will facilitate planning process to encourage smart growth, natural resources, elimination of blight. Great, elimination of blight. Sustainability and economic and racial inclusion. Okay, and if you see their tentative map, the east boundary, okay, east boundary is Mayflower. So the 6th district, the 2nd district, and the 1st aren't even included in this. And the continues redevelopment will convene regular meetings among stakeholders and provide the city monthly progress reports. Were any of you all invited to that or got a monthly report? That's what we're talking about. So the total of this so far is $623,000. This has been the biggest cluster I've seen, and I've seen a lot of things, unfortunately, in my time. I think I'm agreeing with Oliver 100%. And it's too bad that Sheila, because I don't know if she's still your financial person of the council. I would assume David, when he was sponsoring the bill, would have told her about this at some point, and she could have conveyed that. But that's fine if I get her not wanting to speak about that, but the whole thing has been a mess. I think there are several ways that we can still use the money. The money won't go away because a casino deal has been made. So we're going to look for other alternatives. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a press conference Wednesday. I'll invite you to be something on the west side. So thank y'all.
Good evening, Council. Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. One thing I'd like to point out is that a little over $300,000 worth of money from New Carlisle went into this project. Come from one of our TIF funds over there. This whole thing has been handled so poorly. I don't even want to use cluster like Mr. Dieter uses. The cart has been before the horse from the beginning. Again, I talked earlier today at your committee meeting that, you know, somebody comes to me and says, we want to take a part of your yard because we're going to run this trail through your backyard, Dan. I'm going to tell them they're at the wrong house, but at least they're talking to me. They didn't even talk to these folks. They didn't even talk to the landowners about this plan. They got in some room somewhere and came up, hey, let's get the money from the Pokagans and let's run these trails down to Potato Creek. And no, we don't need to talk to the landowners till afterwards. And then you go to the landowners afterwards and say, what do you think of this idea? What are they supposed to think of this idea? They haven't even been included in any of the conversation. What needs to be done here is not just, this thing doesn't need to be paused. It needs to be put back to square one, start over, put your plan together 1 to 100, number your items. Number one item on that list is talk to the landowners. Find out what the landowners are workable with. If they're not workable with it, don't even think about eminent domain. Eminent domain for a non-essential, recreational, invasive, property value damaging project would be is just absolutely nuts. You can't be thinking straight if you're thinking it's okay to, there was a gentleman at one of our meetings, Mr. Shula, who indicated that he was told by a realtor friend of his and an attorney that this trail was going to come within 75 feet of his home. He has much farmland, but the trail was going to impact his area by about a value of loss of 10% once this trail came through there. And he indicated to us at the time that would be a 7-figure number to him. This is crazy to think it's okay to invade people's space without talking to the people first. So please, I support this resolution.
Thank you.
Alice Pickens, 234 North Albert Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. Okay, I just want to say one thing. I agree with you guys 100%. 100, maybe 1000%. Because it's a history in this country of people taking people land. When they wanted Central Park in New York City, that whole place was a minority town. Oh, we want that. So they came along, pulled down the whole town of minorities and made it Central Park. When the railroad came through, another whole town, we need that land. Didn't ask, didn't offer them a quarter, but took it and left the people with nothing. So when these people stand here and say, you're not taking my land without my permission, I stand behind y'all 100. When you say they're not putting the money in the Black and brown community, I stand behind you 100. When you say they got to come and EPA the system, I stand behind you 100, because that's what the West Side is dealing with right today. You just come and throw something in our face and think we're supposed to accept it. You stand for your land. And I'm done.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Steve Mathis, 5757 2 Mayflower Road. I too found out when Brent and Chantel found out about this on the news. It was about 1 year ago in July of 25. Shock to all of us. We all farm out there. In 4 years, my family will be at the same farm for 100 years. My great grandfather started on Sample Street by Rayco. I'm third generation where we are. My son will be fourth. But it's not all about the farmland. I mean, that's what, and I want to make that clear. There was a town hall meeting in North Liberty a few weeks back. Brett, Steve Sass, Derek Dieter, Chantel, all of us were going to go because Sean Peterson was going to discuss the plan to the town council. We put the word out and we thought we had 20 to 25 people that were going to come in support of us talking about this, denouncing Bill S-468 and the language in there. And to tell you more, we did not ever hear, there was no public meetings that we ever heard about 2 years ago when this S-468 got brought up and passed. It was not until Sean Peterson started talking 1 year ago on the news about having the public hearings after the Senate bill and the House passed that. There was no talk at all And, but going back to, we're talking about landowners. Yeah, we farm, our neighbor's farm. But when we went to that North Liberty meeting, thinking we might have 20, 25 people, there was 150 people, individual households, farms, business owners, all through the entire area, not just North Liberty, all the area that's circled on that map. People that spent their life savings and bought 20 acres out there and built their dream house to find out that, yes, this trail could go right next to their kitchen window because they built a quarter mile off the road behind what was a railroad track that was now their own private property. So it's not just farmers that are standing up and being mad about this. It is many hundreds of households and people that have their homes, their own private homes. They may have 5 acres, they might have 2 acres, but when you talk about a half mile on each side of that trail that this so-called LLC can control what happens in that, people are upset because they spent their money to buy their places out in the country. So it's not just farmers. It is people out in the country that took it by surprise. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. And yes, we do need to pass this resolution. And we will also, I think, be at the county council meeting tomorrow. Are we still doing that one? Okay. But it's been a long struggle. It's been a lot of sleepless nights for a lot of people. And the more people that find out about it, some of the people in North Liberty only found out 3 days before the meeting that this was even happening in their area. We've tried to spread the word, but and when we are happy we got the word out because it affects thousands, not just 5 of us. So thank you.
Raquel Blas, 2513 Erskine Boulevard. I'm also probably gonna throw away most of my comments because now I feel in a certain kind of way about what this mayor's office is doing with no transparency. I sent all of you my article about the AWS wastewater that's been routing to South Bend without any public notice. As a matter of fact, the mayor's office knew I was publishing that and they published something in the Tribune the same day. And I'd like to give you more information about that, but I cannot because my public record requests are over 31 days late. So I can't give you exactly, but I'll tell you this. This is relevant because I've done a lot of research on this divide and on the AWS wastewater. This is relevant because in 2012, we were cited by the EPA for dumping 2 billion gallons of untreated water into our river right here, St. Joe County River. When they published their piece preemptively in the Tribune, they said they are 75% in compliance. Okay, we're supposed to be in compliance by no more than 90 overflow events by 2031. We're not set to meet that until 2036. So we're already behind. So adding that wastewater from a huge, singularly the biggest investment in Indiana, taking that wastewater from that 1,200 acre property data center and putting it in a wastewater treatment center that is too small to allow more wastewater to go into the river untreated. Well, if his figure is correct, that 75% is in compliance, take 25% of 2 billion gallons a year, and you get 500 million gallons of water going into our river untreated. My point is that's A, disgusting, and B, you all should have known about that. And Ms. Dr. Davis, who is on the Committee for Public Works, should have been, notified of the extra wastewater. And what is in the wastewater? How much wastewater is in it? Well, we don't know. So the mayor has a problem with transparency. He thinks he can get around you and he can get around us and he can do whatever he wants to the river. Well, I think the Pokagon band would be really interested in making sure our river is clean. How are you going to spend $40 million on a trail that 2% of the people in South Bend will use? Let's be honest. No one wants to bike from North Liberty to the chocolate factory. And you're all going to be played by the mayor. I feel a certain way. I've done a lot of research on this AWS wastewater and for this project here. And finally, I will say, I reject the idea that the mayor, who I personally like, spent city dollars without informing the public, without informing you, on this no bid contract with his buddies. Sean Peterson was once a assistant city attorney for the redevelopment commission. They're all buddies. Without informing anyone, can now send emails an hour before this meeting to let us know his attorneys will ask him to veto this. Well, my gosh, that's a abuse of power. And that's a subversion of the will of the people. So I ask you today, before this becomes a bigger problem with the mayor not being transparent with our water, with our, the redevelopment commission who passed this are 5 white men. We shouldn't be surprised that no Black and brown communities are served with it. I ask you to please back this resolution and send a message to the mayor's office that it's time to be transparent with our natural resources and our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? And Attorney Palmer, please make sure we have 5 minutes per speaker.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Vargo, 65505 Mulberry Road. We are one of these smaller landowners with the 30-some acres. The railroad did come through our property, split our property in half. So that property was taken from the railroad. Since the railroad is abandoned, a lot of people have bought that back, and it seems like a lot of this trail is based on that it's still owned by the railroad company, and a lot of people own that railroad. This is a 100-plus-year-old family homestead, and we are those people that are 350 yards off the road. There's nobody I can see off my front porch. Now I got that railroad bed is less than 100 yards, and would split my property in half. And the other thing is that we didn't know anything about this until like 30 days ago. He said there's 150 people in that town meeting, and that's just because nobody knows. There's so many people that are unaware that this is going to affect. And it's like, why do you need a half mile on both sides of that railroad? And then it takes away my hunting. They're talking no hunting is in that bill too, which is, a lot of the reason we live out there is because we can live off our land, and we farm it. We hunt the wildlife. And it's a different way of life. To put a bike path right through the middle of all that is, without being asked if we're even up for anything like that, is just wrong. Wrong, very wrong. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Odom, 209 East Bronson Street, South Bend, Indiana. I would ask for you to pause on this bill because most of you have said you don't have the correct information. And I also wanted to say that $623,000 will build 2 houses on the lake. But also, I think that anytime you do something behind a community's back and you don't include them, you don't have good intentions to begin with. And maybe fourth of all, I think would be so good, since you've all been so honest about not having the facts and stuff, to vote your conscience and to do the right thing. I think it's so nice um, when you can do the right thing, when you can be your own person, when you can say what you need to say and do what you need to do. So I look forward to all of you doing the right thing. And I'm gonna thank you for it in advance. Thank you.
Good evening again, Tiana Batiste Waddell, 330 Colfax Avenue. The first thing that I want to say is that this whole process is completely unacceptable. And because of that, there is no longer any trust. So to say that there is no action that needs to be taken is just being completely blind to the systemic issues that have been around for about 600 years. You represent the Black city, not yourself. You represent South Bend. Black people live here. There was clearly no collaboration. They did not collaborate. And when I say they, I'm talking about capitalistic European Americans, capitalistic Native Americans that did not collaborate with the people that have been historically left out of the table for hundreds of years, the Black indigenous South Bend. Whatever this compact is, and I meant to thank Brent and Snyder before I began because I learned more. Because there sounds like there's a lot of money that should be going to people and not property and not investment accounts and not Bitcoins. So I am in agreement that this needs to be paused. You need to add people to the table so that those people can create their own tables. Because again, there is a need for this if you understand history. It's been happening for a long time. They took our land. This is a white on white issue because of the new laws, but they took our land, and you're representing the Black indigenous. So make sure you get to that table and create a new table for us. That's the systemic change that should happen coming out of the Repertory Commission's report. We can't keep doing the same things for 100 years. It's time to create new systems. And I hope that the citizens, when they go to the voting booth, they don't vote for Jake, because Jake didn't have their back. A Black indigenous did. Thank you.
Got one thing to say. When all this went down, Mr. Davis came to us and said, I represent people who've been locked out of the discussions. I represent people who are not at the table. How can we work together? That's how Oliver Davis and I became friends, because he approached me. And 100% right. There needs to be transparency, and it's about people, not places. Thank you.
We have one individual online, Mr. Geiger. Please unmute yourself and state and turn on your camera and state your name and address for the record.
Yep, thank you. Jordan Geiger, 302 South Falcon Street. I'm a member of LaSalle Park Neighborhood Association and Black Lives Matter. And I'm speaking in favor of this resolution. I've been learning about this issue over the weeks through Oliver. He's mentioned a lot of the commonalities around land use and environmental issues between the west side of South Bend and LaSalle Park and the western part of the county. And so I think that we have a lot of like overlapping issues and concerns related to land use, related to the lack of community engagement and communication of plans, something that I personally have been organizing around for years, trying to address those issues. So I'm hoping that the council will support this resolution. I do think it's important for South Bend to take a stand because you have been investing money into this, unbeknownst to you. And I don't think that we should support with our dollars, projects and initiatives and plans that have not been effectively communicated to folks who are being impacted, and that have not been built with the people who stand to be the most impacted. So thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Hi, I'll be brief. My name is Robert Stephen Wilson, and I'm at 23007 State Road 23, South Bend, Indiana 46614. My wife and I bought our property on March 31st of 2004. We own 46.5 acres, and we have about 1,100 feet of property that is adjacent to the Indiana-New Jersey Railroad, which is one of the trail, marks that they're looking to go down. And I knew that they were going to have a problem with putting a trail down the railroad because the power company came in, it might have been 5 years ago, and they purchased or put a half-acre easement to put in some power lines. And they assured me at the time that they would only need that little half-acre easement to complete their power lines. Well, lo and behold, the railroad company that they were going to run the power lines down said that the rail spur was still active and that the power lines would not go there. So then the power company came back to my wife and I, and they said, guess what? The railroad company will not let us go down the railroad bed, so we're going to have to go on your property. And if you guys don't agree to it, then we will have to use the policy of eminent domain to take over your property. So we really didn't have a choice. We had to agree. So I have a 100-foot wide easement on the far west side of my property that's 1,000 feet long. So if the trail head or trail goes through where they are, one of the propositions, they're going to have to move the trail further in because they're not going to be able to go through the easement where the power company is for the trail. They'll have to encroach further upon us. That's the first thing that I don't like is the whole eminent domain issue that's been brought up. The second thing is the half-mile swath on each side of the proposed trail is, that's just egregious in my opinion. And then the third thing is, and I don't think anybody's ever really mentioned this, is that the insurance and liability costs associated with these trails and adjacent property owners, I think is going to be very cumbersome for adjacent property owners. I'm an insurance agent. I already insure a lot of the farms out on the west side. We already have a crime problem. The farm equipment that sits out in these fields is just open for theft, and we've already paid theft claims on that. So I do think it's your place to vote on this resolution tonight, and we would all appreciate it if you would vote in favor of it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That is the public hearing portion of it. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak in opposition?
At this time, I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
At this time, council members, would you like to make any comments or?
I want to make a comment.
Yes, Sherry.
Okay. We have to remember as a council, we need to go back to your senior year in high school. Most of you took a class called government. The state of Indiana still requires government in order to earn a diploma. And one thing I remember, even though I'm going on 45 years since I graduated from high school, but I remember there are 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, and judicial. They each have checks and balances on each other. We are a check. We're going to have to check this. That's what I have to say about that. Another thing is, it is so interesting when people have a mind to get something done and what they will do to get it done. But then when it comes to getting the soil cleaned up out on Beck's Lake and testing that water, and all those years, the people came and said the fires are burning under that dump. and nothing was done. What you say, Stacy, if you would do right by God, if you would just do right by God, you know that's not right. You got to hurry up and get this done, but somehow this can't get done. We need to, council members, stand in our proper place. We are a check and balance. I will be voting in favor of this resolution.
At this time, I will now entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt this resolution with the favorable graces of this council.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Nay.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Bidinger,
Aye.
Vice President Niskoski has abstained. President Lee.
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. You all.
I have 7 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstain.
All right. Bills on first reading.
Stand up.
Clerk Toronto, would you give Bill 47-26 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for property located at 1737 O'Brien Street, Councilmanic District Number 1 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I will now entertain a motion to send Bill 47-26 to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on August 3rd, 2026, and on to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on August the 10th.
So move.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 48-26 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance and establishing historic landmark status for the structure and real property known as the Ovet AMZ Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church, located at 310 West Monroe Street in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I would like to entertain a motion to send Bill 48-26, sending to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on August the 10th.
So, second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Clerk Toronto, could you give 49-26 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending Section 9-16 of the South Bend Municipal Code to establish rates for mobile integrated healthcare visits.
I would like to entertain a motion to send Bill 49-26 to the Personnel and Finance Committee for public hearing and third reading on August 10th.
So move.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Unfinished business. Council, is there any unfinished business?
Just one, I know that I had to cancel a utilities meeting, and the poll said August 20th is when people could come. I just have to pin down where it's going to be, but August 20th to address some water questions.
Yes, sir. We still got to work with the fire department in 5th District with Lafayette Falls.
Oh, Mr.
Attorney.
Palmer, I'm sorry. He did respond to that.
Oh, I haven't caught up on
Okay,
that.
he
I'm
did.
so sorry. I'll catch up on it afterwards. I'm sorry, thank you for responding. I've been a little busy.
Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's not-
Hold on, I'm gonna let Councilwoman Ophelia Gooden Rogers.
Well, I mentioned it last meeting, but starting tomorrow morning, Tuesday, July 28th, 9 a.m. to noon, and then noon to 3. It's going to be 3 days of this. It's Indiana and Michigan Power Understanding Your Bill, and they will be there for these 3 days, these different times. So if you know anyone that don't understand their bill, they can come out and AEP will explain their bill to them. So that's all I have.
All right, Dr. Davis.
Yes, I just want to pause for a few minutes, minute to honor and to remember Councilman John Hozinski. He passed away. His funeral, I believe, is I think it's coming up this Friday. He was on the city council. In fact, in our old building where Sheila's office was, I used to have that office. That was his office, because he used to have a sticker that I couldn't get off the office when I moved in, and it had his name in there. And he came by one day and said, "You still got my sticker on here?" I said, "Yep, I can't get," whatever he put up there. He put some kind of glue or whatever to always make sure that that was his office. So all my 12 years in that office, I saw his name every single day. And so today I saw that he had passed away. And so I just wanted to acknowledge, he was on the council prior to me. I don't know if Karen served with him or not, but yeah, he just stopped by the office sometime and whenever just talked to him. So it was just nice to, and I saw that he was there. So we could have the clerk, I'll send you his information. And if we could acknowledge that on behalf of the council, that we have a former council member that has passed away. And also with Councilwoman Karen White yesterday, we celebrated the 103rd birthday or anniversary for what's the church, Lord, my Greater Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. And so we were there. Excellent sermon from a man out of Kokomo. He preached and did an excellent job. So that was really fun. And so, yeah, but the key thing tonight is just to honor the former council person, and for us to please send some kind of card and acknowledgement to his family for his service to our city. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Lee. Thank you. I just want to announce about on this Wednesday at 1:30 at the History Museum, Brother Sage, Officer Jeff Diggins and his son, and some of the Buffalo soldiers from Gary, Indiana will be here talking about their roles as being cowboys and the history of that from them coming from the city of South Bend, and also leading up to the Midwest Invitational Rodeo that will take place at the Forest Fair State Grounds this Saturday at 1 o'clock. It's starting off with a mental health fair and ending with the rodeo at 7 o'clock p.m. So when we talk about our communities coming together and having opportunity to have something that we can all celebrate as the Black and Brown communities coming together, that I invite everyone to come out and celebrate with us. And also Riley High School is having a book bag giveaway. I need to ask my colleague, Ophelia Gooden Rogers, what date that is. Is it August 10th?
8th, August
8th at Riley High School, the book bag giveaway. So please come out. And also I would like to put a plug in for Broadway Parish. They're asking for underwear and socks. They are in low capacity of underwear and socks for both men and women at Broadway Parish. And also finally, like to acknowledge also the passing of Linda Scopolidis. She was a great pillar in our community as well. So please keep her and her family. She also lost her husband a few weeks prior to her passing. So just wanted to give respect to her as well.
I was thinking of the back to school parade from Washington High School, but I can't recall the date. So I'll make sure I'll send that. August 15, it will start at Washington High School, and then we'll march all the way to the Charles Black Center. There will be vendors and giveaways with book bags, notebooks, and there's a lot of sponsors that's helping them in regards to the parade.
Thank you very much.
Presently.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one more thing. I just could not let this night end without acknowledging the work of the East Side reunion. It was beautiful. A whole weekend of the white party, the service, and I wasn't able to attend that because I'm the pianist at my church, but it was a wonderful service in the park and a wonderful picnic. So I want to commend the steering committee. You did a great, great job. East Side reunion, East Side.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. All right, we'll now move to the privilege of floor, the privilege of the floor. Disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech and or actions, as well as verbal attacks on any person, may result in the individual without notice forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. Individuals who wish to address the council must state their name and residential address. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes only. The maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting shall be 30 minutes. Individuals shall not be permitted to address topics which the council has heard previously on the agenda. Council President may assign a topic raised by an individual during the privilege of the floor to the appropriate council member and or request the city clerk to contact a member of the city administration for review, and topics assigned shall be responded to at the next scheduled council meeting. Ask that you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Gary May, and I live at 501 Alonzo Watson Drive, apartment 105 in the Westcott apartment complex. I have something. Your understanding of why I'm giving this to you.
We can't hear you because you're not on the mic, so
Sorry about that.
whatever you got to give to the clerk, then thank you.
Sorry, could you give your address one more time?
Yes,
sir?
it's 501 Alonzo Watson Drive, apartment 105, Westcott apartment complex. What you board members are about to receive, you'll get a clearer understanding of why you were having it as I speak on. I'm here today or tonight to address the ongoing infrastructure dilapidation of the Westcott apartment complex. And it's just that 3 weeks ago, I had no choice but to become a tenant whistleblower when things just are getting so corroded with the water pipes and water leaking in the hallways, ceiling tiles having water damage, mold on them and whatnot. And then they turned off all the water in the building and on July 7th, and they put porta potties in the bathroom or porta potties in the parking lot on an 85-degree day. And when I found out how much hotter it is, an 85-degree day in a porta potty, it goes up to 100 to 130 degrees. So I'm thinking of all the older folks and folks that have disabilities. There is a majority Black, community building and stuff. And to degrade us and to humiliate us and expect us to use porta potties out there and swelter in that heat, it's beyond unacceptable. So I called 57 News and I had them come in and they did a walkthrough and took pictures and videos and stuff. And when 22 was outside waiting after, 57 was done, 22 was refused to be allowed into the building, and security was given a direct order from the executive director that no tenants were going to be allowed to have visitation. It is unacceptable for any executive director to refuse tenants to have visitation. That building is not a prison, and she is not our warden. Obviously, a few hours later, she must have realized that she is deeply violating every single tenant's rights. And she lifted the order, but the damage had already been done. And she further escalated that damage upon herself with an over the phone recorded conversation with ABC 57 News, Leo Goldman, and said that fabricated lie that us tenants had 2 weeks prior notification that we were going to be having these porta potties in the parking lot, all the water was going to be turned off. And that's not true. We had a 2-day prior notification. They stuffed it in our doors, and then the porta potties were in the parking lot. And on top of violating all of our rights, because one tenant decides to blow the whistle, they're going to punish everybody in the entire building for a number of hours and not allow us to have visitation. She deserves to be fired.
Sir.
She deserves to
30
resign.
seconds. 30 seconds.
So anyways, she, I need more time than this, honestly, but, a lot is going on. And when you duct tape leaks of water pipes throughout the building and it's going all over the floors and everything, I'm sorry, but you can't put a Band-Aid on a wound that requires staples. You know, it's completely unacceptable. And I know the Board of Commissioners is gonna be in that 501 Lots of Watch and Drive tomorrow and stuff to talk about a lot of this. But she violated our rights in so many different ways. And then she goes into hiding, you know, and sending her subordinates to my apartment to have me sign this and that with a security escort, like I'm some kind of dangerous threat of a tenant. All that was harassment and intimidation, and they know it because I'm blowing the whistle to try to get
Time,
everything
sir.
right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, sir. Keep up the fight.
This ain't over yet.
I know it isn't. Wow. I know you will.
Pastor Lee,
I know.
she has a question.
Looking at the date, Gary, letter that was December, he went 29,
Oh, 2020.
2020, so it's
Sir,
the letter he meant.
Can we get your name and everything?
And also,
Here.
I think I have his name. Counselor, President Lee, I
Hold on
happened
one
to be
second.
there that day.
Got his name?
So I can give you some.
A member of the
context
clerk's
that.
office, sir, will get your information and give it to the council members.
I didn't get a chance to say the reason of why I.
But we'll call you. We'll call you. We got you. No, so you got his information?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
We'll
got
get
you.
his
Okay, we cool.
information.
Have a good one.
Just
We
give
good.
us a second.
I'll be
Thank
back 2 more weeks and I'll be.
All right. We look forward to seeing you.
There.
Ready? Okay.
Yes,
Good
sir.
evening, Tiana Batiste Waddell, 330 Colfax Avenue. 30-plus days ago, I stood before this body and asked the simple question, what comes next? What comes next after the release of a report documenting generations of racial discrimination and harm against Black residents in South Bend and St. Joe County? 30-plus days ago, there has been no meaningful public response, no visible implementation plan, and no clear indication that this body has organized itself around the report's recommendations. The community has waited long enough. The report is complete. The findings have been validated. The harms have been documented. The time for studying the problem has passed. It's time for organizing, alignment, and implementation. Tonight, again, I ask the council to publicly commit to a timeline for implementing the report's recommendations and to provide an update on whether discussions have begun regarding direct financial restitution for residents harmed by policies that intentionally created and sustained the racial wealth gap. The budget season is right around the corner. How is it going to change? I also want to raise concerns about the efficiency of the city's public records process. More than 30 days have passed since I submitted a records request that remains incomplete. That delay has also delayed my ability to seek reconsideration through the Human Rights Commission. When government records are not produced in a timely manner, it slows accountability and limits residents' access to the very processes designed to protect me. Transparency delayed is accountability denied. So I hope this council will be fully engaged also this Thursday as the community begins to discuss solutions for affordable housing on the West Side. Your attendance matters. There are two important policy proposals deserving of your support. One is establishing the environmental testing protections, and another creating a 1% affordable housing community type of policy. These are opportunities to move beyond discussion and into action. Finally, I have sent several emails to members of this body and have yet to receive responses. So I ask why. What is the communication protocol? Communication is fundamental in public service, and we should not have to repeatedly ask whether our elected officials are listening. So our community is asking for accountability, transparency, and action, not months from now, but today, tonight, before midnight. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else? If not, if there's no one else, thank you, everybody.
Get up. That one.
Can we send flowers to the Miss Sharon?
We'll make sure. We'll make sure. Yes, ma'am.
Stacy Odom, 209 East Bronson Street. Just want to say, have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you all, and God bless you, and be safe on your way home. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Sharon,